Chapter 2637. Die! The eighth demon emperor shouted viciously as he threw out a palm strike. The vast demonic chi transformed into a dense mist and took shape. It turned into a huge palm the size of the sky and directly covered the figures of several powerhouses. Among these people, there was Ji Tsung, the ancestor of the Ji family from the ancient wilderness continent, Xiao Yao from the Overlord Python clan, and Chi Hu from the four-winged demonic snake clan from the Beast Alliance, as well as the demonic beast Earth Wolf that Du Xiaofu had subdued, and so on. The huge demonic palm moved through the air. The demonic energy was vast and mighty, and the energy poured into the bodies of these people. Puff, 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 a series of muffled sounds reverberated. The bodies of several experts, who were at least at the late sage realm, instantly exploded before they could even react. In just an instant, the originally lively lives turned into clouds of blood mist, drifting in the void. Bastard! Du Xiaofu roared angrily. His eyes turned extremely red in an instant. Blood vessels filled his eyes. At this moment, an uncontrollable grief invaded his heart, causing his body to tremble non-stop. Many of those people were old friends that he was familiar with. However, they were all killed by the eighth demon emperor in just one move. Keek. The weakest among them was at the late sage realm. How many years has it been since I last enjoyed such a tonic? The eighth demon emperor laughed sinisterly. He opened his mouth and inhaled. The surrounding blood mist moved and drifted into his mouth before being sucked into his stomach. After that, one could clearly sense that his strength had faintly increased by a sliver. Bastard! Bastard! Du Xiaofu roared angrily. In a flash, his body appeared in front of the eighth demon emperor again. I want you to die with them! He shouted angrily. The purple-gold heavenly tower in his hand hummed and emitted a sword light that pierced through the sky. It was as if it wanted to pierce through the sky and pierce the chest of the eighth demon emperor. At the same time, the law of space was activated. The void was like a pool of water that was shaking. Boom, boom, boom. An invisible power compressed and collapsed as if it had been frozen, tightly binding the eight demon emperors within it. Things are no longer the same as before. No matter how powerful you are, you still can't kill me. The eighth demon emperor licked his lips and glared at Du Xiaofu coldly as he raised his sword and charged toward him. His demonic body suddenly struggled, only to hear a caw-caw sound, and then with a bang, the frozen space directly broke into countless pieces. In the blink of an eye, the eight demon emperors regained their freedom. However, at this moment, Du Xiaofu's sword light had already reached his chest. Seeing that he was unable to dodge the attack, a ruthless expression flashed across the eight demon emperor's eyes. If you want to hurt me, you'll have to pay the price yourself. Blood Fiend Demon Palm! With a buzz, the palm struck out horizontally. Blood Fiend Chi filled the air and transformed into an endless ferocious scene. There were ferocious ghosts fighting, evil spirits wailing, evil gods gnawing, and ferocious creatures slaughtering. When Du Xiaofu's sword light stabbed into the eight demon emperor's chest, the palm also landed on the purple-robed young man's chest. Chi bang! Two sounds were heard one after another. The sword light in Du Xiaofu's hand directly pierced into the eight demon emperor's demonic body. The magnificent force tore the eight demon emperor's body apart, and demonic blood gushed out. The power of thunder and lightning coiled around and burned the demonic blood, turning it into wisps of black gas that drifted in the void. At the same time, the demonic palm that carried a terrifying force also imprinted on Du Xiaofu's chest. Under such a blow, his body flew out in an instant. His blue spirit armor was shattered and dissipated. A huge palm print was left on Du Xiaofu's chest. His flesh was charred and emitted black smoke. Wisps of demonic chi coiled around his body and constantly eroded his immortal Xian body. Du Xiaofu! Dad! Rock Emperor! When the experts in the distance saw this scene, they were all shocked. One had to know that the hopes of all living beings were placed on this purple-robed young man. They did not know when it started, but Du Xiaofu's existence was like a cornerstone that supported the faith of all living beings. As long as he was around, no one in this realm would be in true despair. No matter how powerful the devil religion was, no matter how invincible the demon god was, it would not be able to break their fighting spirit. His safety was naturally linked to everyone's nerves. It is indeed terrifying. The golden wings of the great rock flapped, and a dense purple-gold light shone. Only then did Du Xiaofu's body come to a stop in the void. He looked at the 8 demon emperors in the distance, and his eyes were filled with ferocity. Heh heh heh! How can you save the lives of so many people by yourself? At this moment, the voice of the second demon emperor rang out. Under the lead of the great demon emperor, he and the other 4 demon emperors, who had been shaken off by Du Xiaofu earlier, went to the side of the 8 demon emperors and stood side by side with them. If he wants to save them, then let him save them. I would like to see how many people he can save, the great demon emperor said in a hoarse voice. His eyes, which did not have the scara, looked at Du Xiaofu, and no one could see any fluctuations in them. Du Xiaofu, since you don't want to fight with the 3 of us, then we will fulfill your wish. Kill all these people first, and then join forces to deal with him. The result will be the same. The 4 demon emperors raised their scythes and sneered. That's right. Let's keep a distance from each other and start a massacre here. Heh 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 heh. As the second demon emperor said that, he rushed out and rushed toward the group of experts from the Kyushu realm of the 3 continents. Oh no! Du Xiaofu's heart sank. Instantly he understood the intention of the 3 demon emperors. On the other side, only the 3 demon emperors were restrained by Little Star, but they had also put her in a difficult situation. If the 5 demon emperors on the other side did not want to fight with him and turned to attack the other experts on his side, they would be as powerful as tigers. The remaining few hundred people would not be able to withstand a few more attacks and would be completely wiped out. Your opponent is me, Du Xiaofu said in a low voice. Without thinking, he disappeared on the spot and appeared in the path of the second demon emperor. The blood-red rage in his eyes gradually faded away, and he returned to his original appearance. His heart gradually calmed down, and he no longer lost his mind because of the deaths of Ji Tsong, Di Lang, and the others. He knew that it was too difficult to kill a demon emperor with his own strength when he was surrounded by so many experts. He absolutely could not lose sight of the bigger picture just because of hatred, and lose his sense of propriety. Hee. Great. Seeing Du Xiaofu intercepting them, the second demon emperor could not help but laugh. He said to the great demon emperor, the 4 demon emperors, and the others, I will hold off Du Xiaofu. You go and kill the rest of them. Don't leave anyone alive. Hee. As he spoke, the second demon emperor's body shook the sky, and a terrible force erupted from his body. In an instant, he collided with Du Xiaofu. At the same time, the great demon emperor, the 4 demon emperors, the 8 demon emperors, and the 9 demon emperors moved at the same time. The 4 heavenly saints attacked at the same time and swept toward the opposite group. Everyone, spread out and kill these people. In the process, the great demon emperor ordered in a gloomy voice. If Du Xiaofu wants to save people, let him save them. I don't believe that he can deal with the 4 of us at the same time. Understood. Hearing the great demon emperor's order, the 4 demon emperors, the 8 demon emperors, and the 9 demon emperors spread out and kept a certain distance from each other. With their strength, if Du Xiaofu wanted to save hundreds of experts, it was impossible for him to take care of the 4 of them at the same time. No matter how strong that kid was, he could not deal with any of the demon emperors in a short time and make them lose their fighting strength. In this way, he could only be exhausted and unable to take care of everything. Everyone, form a joint attack formation. Seeing that the demon emperors had left him and were closing in on the experts of the 3 continents, Kyushu, and the other heavenly saints, Du Xiaofu could not help but shout. A sword radiance was slashed out from his hand and forced the second demon emperor to retreat dozens of feet. Then, he stretched out his hand into the void and clenched it hard. The space in front of the great demon emperor moved, and terrible spatial folds appeared, wrapping the petite and strange body of the great demon emperor inside. Heavenly thunder punishment, open for me! Then, Du Xiaofu shouted again, and the law of thunder was activated. A peerless thunder and lightning beam came down from the sky and hit the heads of the 4 demon emperors directly. Purple thunder cauldron, go! Du Xiaofu waved his hand slightly, and the divine thunder cauldron rushed out from his body, dragging terrible purple gold thunder and lightning, to intercept the 8 demon emperors. Kill! The next moment, in a flash of golden light, Du Xiaofu disappeared and reappeared in front of the 9 demon emperor. Then, he slashed his sword at the 9 demon emperor again. All this happened in the blink of an eye. From the time he forced the 2nd demon emperor to retreat, to the time he used the Fuyao style and appeared in front of the 9 demon emperor, it only took a moment. After this series of actions, the 5 demon emperors were temporarily delayed. Hurry up, form a combined attack defensive array! Du Xiaofu shouted at the hundreds of powerhouses. At this moment, if one was not calm enough and stubbornly persisted, one might have some hope of killing 1 or 2 Yimo emperors in a one-on-one situation. However, one would definitely be seriously injured and fall into a dangerous situation. It could even endanger one's life. Most importantly, when the rest of the demon emperors were free to attack, none of the hundreds of powerhouses would be able to survive. Otherwise, they would all be killed in a few moves. Only by combining the strength of all the powerhouses could they better compete with the devil religion, so as to avoid being defeated by the demon emperors one by one. Even if the array they had formed could not stop the slaughter of the Heaven Saint Demon Emperor, it could at least hold on for some time. TSK. Du Xiaofu, there is no need to waste your energy. If I were you, I would just surrender. At this time, the 2nd demon emperor had broken the sword radiance that Du Xiaofu had slashed out. Then, he got rid of the sword radiance, and rushed toward the hundreds of powerhouses again. Set up the array! Under the command of Du Xiaofu, hundreds of powerhouses took advantage of the moment when the demon emperors were restrained. They quickly got rid of the powerhouses of the devil religion and gathered together. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Among them, many spiritual talisman masters danced in the air and set up array flags around the hundreds of powerhouses. 6 Wheels Blood Killing Array, set up! Yin Yang Heaven Killing Array, set up! 9 Hell's Devil Locking Array, set up! After the shouts, layers of arrays were set up instantly. They intertwined with each other and formed a huge energy shield. Everyone, let's attack together and pour our strength into the array! Hundreds of powerhouses kept pouring their strength into the array to increase its power. In this situation, no one was stingy with their Xian Qi, beast energy, and demonic Qi. They all attacked with their full strength, and unparalleled strength surged out. The vast energy gathered and condensed into a whole, exuding a monstrous power. In the energy shield, there was a powerful, sharp sword Qi and an overbearing, endless power. Various kinds of energy formed a powerful, thick defensive array. At the same time, it also carried a sharp way of attack, which could be used to attack and defend. That ferocious and heavy aura contained a sharp aura, indicating that even if it was an enemy below the heavenly saint realm, it would be able to suppress and kill them, and no one would be able to break it. However, their enemies were several demon emperors, all of whom had the strength of the heaven saint realm. No matter how many tricks you have, you are just putting up a desperate struggle. None of you will be able to stop the devil sex massacre. Hee hee. Let's kill! Just as the array was set up, the great demon emperor, the 4th demon emperor, the 8th demon emperor, and the 9th demon emperor also got rid of Du Xiaofu's attack and rushed toward the huge energy shield. Humph, your opponent is me! Du Xiaofu snorted coldly, his hair fluttering wildly in the wind. Seeing that the array was set up, he felt a little relieved. No matter what, it was better to gather the strength of hundreds of powerhouses than to be slaughtered by several demon emperors. He held the purple gold heavenly tower in his hand and stepped forward. A sword ray formed again and slashed toward the great demon emperor. Du Xiaofu, today, I must kill you! Seeing this, the 2nd demon emperor turned around and flew towards Du Xiaofu, ignoring the people who were setting up the formation. At the same time, the fourth demon emperor moved again and surrounded Du Xiaofu. However, the eighth demon emperor and the ninth demon emperor still rushed toward the energy shield formed by the powerhouses. Kill! The Grand Devil Emperor's claw swept through the sky, breaking through the boundless space and fiercely grabbing onto Du Xiaofu's sword light. After that, his palm moved along with his arm as he abruptly twisted. Bang! With a loud sound, the sword light was directly broken and shattered into pieces in the air. Du Xiaofu, give me your life! The second demon emperor and the fourth demon emperor bellowed as they lunged forward to fight Du Xiaofu together with the great demon emperor. TSK, TSK, TSK. These layers of formations don't look weak, but I wonder how many times they can withstand my attacks. On the other side, the eighth demon emperor said with a sinister smile. Staring at the huge energy shield, a bloodthirsty glint flashed in his demonic eyes. Chapter 2638. Translator, Naibo's Studio Editor, Naibo's Studio Translator, Naibo's Studio Editor, Naibo's Studio. The eighth demon emperor moved swiftly. In a flash, he was already beside the energy barrier. Then, he gently raised his fist, and without thinking, he punched out in an ordinary manner, fiercely smashing it onto the energy shield. However, such a simple punch, which did not have the slightest bit of energy fluctuation, exploded with a loud bang when it hit the formation. Terrifying ripples spread out from the multicolored protective shield as it shook violently, as if it was about to shatter under this punch. At the same time, a series of cracking sounds could be heard. Then, cracks spread and climbed up the barrier. Many of the experts in the array spat out mouthfuls of blood at the same time. They were greatly shaken. This demon emperor is too scary. It was just a simple punch, but it only impacted the array so much. In the array, Hu Xuanhu of the Mo family said in horror. I don't know how long we can hold on if this continues. Huang Linger of the Phoenix clan was also very worried. Her beautiful eyes were filled with worry. I'm afraid that if he attacks a few more times, the array that hundreds of us have formed with all our strength will be on the verge of collapse. Mu Qingge also spoke in a serious tone. No matter how long we can hold on, we must use all our strength to protect ourselves and prevent the Rock Emperor and the others from being distracted. Mu Jianchen said. Sword chi burst out from his body. As they spoke, they did not even bother to wipe the blood from the corners of their mouths. Their auras rose, and the chi in their bodies flowed into the array. They could not bear to see the array slowly stabilize. Kakik, do you think I can't do anything to you just because you're hiding in the array? I'd like to see how long you can hide. Outside the array, the ninth demon emperor smiled coldly. He flew to the front of the array and raised his palm. Such a palm strike was very similar to the eighth demon emperor's punch from before. It still looked very ordinary, and there was not the slightest bit of energy fluctuation. It made people feel that it was no different from a person who had no cultivation at all. However, when the ninth demon emperor unleashed this attack, the hundreds of experts in the array widened their eyes. They did not dare underestimate this attack. Boom! The demonic palm finally hit the ground. On the rune array, huge waves were stirred up again. Like a colorful and transparent bubble, it was trembling and changing hideous shapes under the attack of a great force, as if it would explode at any moment. At the same time, the bodies of hundreds of experts shuddered and their blood chi surged as they each spat out a mouthful of black blood. Especially those spirit talisman masters who were controlling the formation. Everyone's face had turned pale and was frighteningly pale. Quick, control the formation! However, no one dared to slack off, and they all forcefully raised their chi to stabilize the grand formation. Let's attack together and kill these weak ants! The eighth demon emperor's devilish body soared through the air as he unleashed another vicious punch. Heh heh heh! Good, let's attack together. Let's see how long they can resist! The ninth demon emperor laughed sinisterly. Then, he and the eighth demon emperor separated from each other and threw out their palms at the same time. Quick! Gather the killing array and take the initiative to attack! Within the energy array, a powerhouse shouted. The next moment, under the control of hundreds of experts, a fierce aura rose from the entire array. Then, two unparalleled sword essences were formed instantly and soared into the sky. Above the two sword essences, a terrifying energy fluctuation spread out, causing the void to tremble. Endless roars of wind and thunder erupted as the two sword essences collided violently and swept out in all directions. The two sword essences slashed toward the 8th Demon Emperor and the 9th Demon Emperor respectively. How dare you take the initiative to attack? However, it's all in vain. The power of the Heavenly Saint Realm is not something that you lowly insects can fathom. The 8th Demon Emperor and the 9th Demon Emperor snorted coldly at the same time. Then, their fists and palms, which were originally aimed at the energy array, turned toward the two sword essences. Even though their words were filled with disdain, their eyes were filled with seriousness when they faced the two sword essences that were extremely powerful. It should be known that this was an attack that was formed by the combined power of hundreds of Saint Stage experts. If the two sword essences were allowed to land on their bodies, even if their lives were not in danger, they would still be severely injured. Break it! The two demon emperors roared furiously. They did not dodge at all as their fists and palms collided with the two sword essences. Boom, 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 boom. Terrifying vibrations spread out. Under the attack of the two demon emperors, the two sword essences were shattered in an instant. Then, they turned into a wild energy storm that swept across the sky. Terrifying energy shot out like a torrential river, causing two extremely terrifying black holes to appear in the void. The endless storm swept out and destroyed everything. It was like a hurricane had swept past, causing the entire array to shake violently. Everyone in the formation, under this attack, all of their expressions became even more gloomy. Humph! How long can the two of you last with such exhaustion? Now it's our turn! Black demonic chi rippled out from the 8 demon emperors' bodies, isolating them from the energy storm that filled the sky. Then, the 8 demon emperors twisted their bodies, rose up, and moved rapidly. In the next moment, they appeared outside the energy barrier again. Then, they threw a punch that shook the void and smashed down. Boom! Crack, crack, amidst the deafening roar, the sound of something shattering could be heard. After the 7-colored light flashed on the array, it instantly dimmed a little. Among them, a layer of light directly faded away and dissipated into nothingness. The 9 Hells Devil locking array is broken! Everyone in the array spat out a mouthful of blood again. The blood pierced through the void, and everyone's expression became dispirited in the blink of an eye. The 8 demon emperors' actions were simply too fast. This time, no one in the array had the time to react. After the 2 sword essences were broken, the 8 demon emperors' attacks landed instantly. They did not even have the time to prepare to defend themselves. The outermost layer of the 9 Hells Devil locking array was destroyed by the attack, and the array flags were destroyed one by one. The spiritual talisman master who set up the array also suffered the greatest impact. After letting out a scream, his body exploded in the array and turned into a mist of blood. He died tragically on the spot. We can't take the initiative to attack anymore. The demon emperors are too powerful. We can't defeat them at all. If we continue to attack, it will consume too much of our energy. Continue to set up the array and defend with all our strength. Everyone in the array also realized the seriousness of the situation. They stopped attacking the array and replaced it with an array with stronger defensive power. Kill! The 8 demon emperors and the 9 demon emperors shouted at the same time and attacked again. The demonic fists and demonic palms landed again and again fiercely, causing the array to shake uncontrollably. A series of deafening explosions rang out, accompanied by the sound of porcelain shattering, muffled groans, vomiting blood, and miserable screams. Layers of arrays and layers of defense were soon riddled with holes and on the verge of collapse. None of the hundreds of people in the array could protect themselves. Their faces were pale, and their auras were weak. They had consumed a lot of energy. They were afraid that the array that they had set up with all their strength would be broken soon. At that time, all their lives would be in the hands of the two demon emperors. Not far away, Du Xiaofu, who was fighting with the first demon emperor, the second demon emperor, and the fourth demon emperor, also noticed this scene. His heart couldn't help but become heavier and heavier. The devil religion is so powerful. Is there really no other way? Du Xiaofu thought to himself. There was an indescribable heaviness in his heart. He had expected that the hundreds of powerhouses on the other side, even if they joined forces, would not be able to contend with the two demon emperors directly. It was only a matter of time before the array was broken. But he didn't expect that under the fierce attacks of the 8 demon emperors and the 9 demon emperors, the array that had gathered the strength of hundreds of people would be in danger of collapsing so quickly. At this time, he was pinned down by the 3 demon emperors and could barely take care of himself. He had no time to take care of those people. If he forcibly left the battlefield to deal with the 8 demon emperors and the 9 demon emperors, it would undoubtedly give the great demon emperor, the second demon emperor, and the fourth demon emperor an opportunity to attack the array. No matter what he did, it seemed that it would be difficult to change the outcome. Could it be that we can only watch as so many people perish here? A strong sense of powerlessness rose in Du Xiaofu's heart. Most of those people were his relatives and friends. They had come here because they were afraid that the demon gods would attack him. Therefore, they had come to help him. However, at this time, in the face of such a hopeless situation, he did not have enough strength to change everything. Du Xiaofu had never felt so powerless in his life. It was so powerless that it made his heart ache. He. You still have time to be distracted. Prepare to die. Just as Du Xiaofu was feeling annoyed, the fourth demon emperor's sinister laughter came from the side. Then, he only saw a flash of blood-red light in front of his eyes. The blood-red sickle had slashed ruthlessly at his chest. Qi-la, purple and gold blood splattered everywhere. His body was cut open from top to bottom. It seemed that the sickle was going to cut open Du Xiaofu's stomach, revealing the beating internal organs in his chest. Ah! Du Xiaofu roared angrily. The heavenly palace of purple and gold in his hand moved across the sky. The broadsword cut open the void and the sword radiance was activated. It was aimed at the fourth demon emperor's head. Kill! The great demon emperor's gloomy and hoarse voice rang out. A sharp claw covered with scales quickly and ruthlessly imprinted on Du Xiaofu's back. Bang! Du Xiaofu's body was instantly sent flying. The sword radiance that was originally aimed at the fourth demon emperor also deviated and cut a deep gully in the void beside him. Du Xiaofu, how can you fight against the 3 of us by yourself? The 2 demon emperors spoke. Their demonic bodies moved rapidly in the void, approaching Du Xiaofu step by step. Du Xiaofu's figure landed in the distance. He did not reply. Instead, he quietly watched the 3 demon emperors encircle him again. His heart was filled with endless solemnity. It seemed that his side had already entered a deadly situation today. Chapter 2639. Translator, H2DH2 Mr. Translator, Naibo's Studio Editor. Naibo's Studio. Du Xiaofu temporarily broke away from the battle between the first demon emperor, second demon emperor, and fourth demon emperor to observe the situation. In the distance, little Xingxing was fighting fiercely with the fifth demon emperor, sixth demon emperor, and seventh demon emperor. However, little Xingxing was in a very bad situation under the joint attack of the 3 demon emperors. He was almost being suppressed. Fortunately, there was a huge turtle shell around the dragon's body, and it was releasing an insane defensive power that protected Little Star's body, making it difficult for the 3 demon emperors to do anything to it for the time being. Not far from Little Xingxing, Du Xiaoyao, Du Xiaojing, Du Tingxian, Du Yunlong, Jialo Jueyu, and other experts who had reached the half-step Heavenly Saint realm were also fighting with more than 10 half-step Heavenly Saint realm experts from the devil religion. As the number of people on both sides was about the same, no one could do anything to the other. They were locked in a fierce battle. This kind of situation comforted Du Xiaofu a little. After all, although these people were in a bad situation, they would not be directly crushed by the devil religion. What worried Du Xiaofu the most was the hundreds of experts who were fighting against the two demon emperors. The death of every one of these people would be a great loss to his side. However, at this time, he was powerless to take care of them. He could not go and help them. Du Xiaofu, none of you will be able to escape today. And you too will die, the fourth demon emperor said gloomily. The blood-red scythe slashed horizontally in the void and swept toward Du Xiaofu. You want me to die? You can't do it. Du Xiaofu narrowed his eyes and said while gnashing his teeth. On his chest, the wound caused by the fourth demon emperor's blood-red scythe was healing at a speed that was visible to the naked eye. However, there was a thick demonic aura coiling around the wound, eroding his physical body. Even with the strength of his immortal Xian body, he could not recover as quickly as he should have. If you leave on your own, we might not be able to stop you. However, you simply cannot abandon those lowly reptiles. So today, only death awaits you, the great demon emperor said in a hoarse voice. Then, his devil claw tore through the void, and moved at an extremely fast speed. Then, he directly appeared in front of Du Xiaofu. At the same time, the fourth demon emperor's crimson scythe had already reached his back. These two attacks were incomparably ferocious. The layers of demonic chi fluctuations caused the entire void to distort, and terrifying ripples appeared in the air. In the face of such terrifying attacks, Du Xiaofu's body flashed with a purple-gold light, and his body disappeared from the spot. When he reappeared, he was outside the encirclement of the three demon emperors. Thunder martial vein, rise! Such a loud roar burst out from Du Xiaofu's throat. Immediately after, a bright thunder light rose from his body. It was like blood vessels, climbing on the surface of his body, like a net of light. Swoosh! The thunder martial vein rushed out and flew high above his head. Thunderbolts as thick as mountains danced in the sky, intertwining with each other and occupying the void. Spiritual thunder, go for me! Du Xiaofu shouted again. Between his eyebrows, 8 spiritual thunders, including the heavenly flame void thunder, the 3,000 quaking thunder, the great Yin sky thunder, and the golden crow sky burning thunder, rushed out with a whistling sound. They quickly rushed into the sky, wedged into the thunder martial vein, and positioned themselves in 8 directions. Between the 8 spiritual thunders, through the connection of the thunder martial vein, there was a subtle connection between them, which made their power even more powerful and terrifying. During this period of time, Du Xiaofu's 10 fingers moved swiftly, forming a series of obscure hand seals that were difficult to understand. As his movements fell, a bright 8 trigrams pattern suddenly appeared in the void above his head, exuding a terrible pressure. This 8 trigrams pattern overlapped with the thunder martial vein in the sky, and energy flowed between them, intertwining and reflecting each other. Whoosh, 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 the void shook violently. After the 8 trigrams pattern appeared in the void, a large amount of yin and yang qi appeared above and below Du Xiaofu's head. As the yin and yang qi flowed, clusters of flames spread out fiercely and formed a sea of fire around Du Xiaofu. It burned fiercely as if it could burn everything in the world. Swoosh, 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 as the yin and yang qi collided and rotated, scenes appeared in the 8 trigrams pattern in the void. Under the illumination of the thunderbolts and the sea of fire, towering mountains emerged, brazenly suppressing the world, and rivers, lakes, and seas flowed, surging and roaring. This scene caused the 3 demon emperors to feel a little shocked. However, they didn't take it too seriously. You have a lot of tricks up your sleeves. However, with your strength alone, you can't make any big waves. The demonic body of the second demon emperor stepped in the air. As he spoke, a terrible aura was brewing all over his body. Amidst the surging demonic chi, his body suddenly shook and rapidly expanded. In an instant, he had transformed into an incomparably majestic body. Compared to the demon god, who was still recovering in the distance, the body of the second demon emperor was not much smaller. His bulging muscles carried explosive power. His skin was bronze, and his muscles were tight. Without a doubt, there was a peerless power in his body. Impudent heavenly thunder, kill! Du Xiaofu stepped into the air, his robes fluttering in the wind. A ferocious roar came from his mouth. Then, with a loud boom, a huge thunderbolt shot out from the 8 trigrams in the void and slammed down on the majestic body of the second demon emperor. You are not weak, but that's all. Break it. As the second demon emperor shouted, he raised his fists and arms, which were like mountains moving horizontally in the void. He didn't dodge, but smashed toward the ferocious thunderbolt beam. Rumble! A terrifying shockwave shook the entire space. The thunderbolt beam was smashed into pieces and turned into violent energy fluctuations, which swept across the void. At the place where the giant fist and the thunderbolt beam collided, the void collapsed immediately and formed a huge black vortex. The black vortex rotated fiercely and swallowed all the shattered energy. There were many wounds on the giant fist of the second demon emperor. Demonic blood was spilling out like a drizzle. However, his aura was not affected at all. His body was still standing in the same place, as if he hadn't been shaken at all by this attack. On the other hand, Du Xiaofu kept retreating in the void. Every step he took created a deep black hole in the void. After retreating for more than 10 steps, his body gradually regained its balance. Kill. At this time, the attacks of the Great Demon Emperor and the 4 Demon Emperors arrived at the same time. A demonic claw, which was covered with black scales, stretched out and enlarged infinitely in the void. In the blink of an eye, it plunged into the 8 trigrams pattern in the void above Du Xiaofu's head. At the same time, the 4 Demon Emperors' blood-red scythes, which carried endless evil spirit, broke the void and fell under Du Xiaofu's feet, slashing on the illusory mountains and rivers. Boom! When the Great Demon Emperor's demonic claw hit the 8 trigrams pattern in the void above Du Xiaofu's head, a terrible explosion occurred instantly. The entire huge 8 trigrams pattern cracked open with a loud bang. Terrifying cracks appeared and spread out like a spider web. Meanwhile, the 4 Demon Emperor's blood-red scythes directly cut open the illusionary mountains and rivers, leaving a thin and straight gap in the middle. The 2 attacks fell almost at the same time. They were so fast that Du Xiaofu didn't even have time to react. Puff! Du Xiaofu, who was in the 8 trigrams pattern in the void, was violently shaken. He spat out a mouthful of blood and disappeared after creating a black hole in the void. His face paled a little, and his body couldn't help but be pushed back. The profound energy in the god's watchtower revolved rapidly, and continuously supported his body. Only then did the void 8 trigrams above his head stabilize, and didn't directly dissipate. However, for the Great Demon Emperor and the 4 Demon Emperors, they were not much better off than Du Xiaofu. The Great Demon Emperor retracted one of his claws and placed it on his waist. Drops of black blood dripped down and corroded the void. A large piece of scale on the back of his small hand was broken. In the hands of the 4 Demon Emperors, only the hilt of the blood-red scythe was left. The entire blade had been consumed. When they attacked Du Xiaofu, the 8 trigrams thunderbolt and the strange power of the 8 trigrams pattern and the mountains and rivers also attacked crazily, injuring both of them. They were all knocked back by the attack, and each of them was greatly shaken. At this moment, the 8 Demon Emperors' arrogant laughter came from afar. Keek keek! Ants, prepare to die! Du Xiaofu opened his eyes. In his gaze, the 8 Demon Emperor and the 9 Demon Emperor raised their hands and attacked continuously. Enormous power that could topple mountains and overturn seas rushed toward the Grand Array. The layers of Grand Arrays were hit by unparalleled attacks, and their brilliance dimmed. A turtle in a jar. No matter how you resist, you can only be slaughtered by me. You can't escape death. The 9 Demon Emperor snorted coldly. His fists were like meteors, and his arms were like dragons. With earth-shattering power, he smashed down violently again and landed directly on the layers of defensive Grand Arrays. Boom! Terrifying energy waves spread out as if the sky and earth were collapsing. A huge explosion erupted, and the entire space was trembling. Qi La, The layers of grand arrays were distorted in an instant. Then, several bright lights flickered and disappeared. Several layers of grand arrays were broken one after another and disappeared into nothingness. Bam! Bam! While everyone in the grand arrays vomited mouthfuls of blood, several talisman masters exploded into blood mists and died an unnatural death. After this, more than 100 people in the grand arrays were killed, and the talisman masters were almost completely wiped out. The rest of the people were also greatly exhausted and shaken. Each of them looked dispirited and pale. The layers of formations were already on the verge of collapse. Only 2 layers of formations were still operating, and they were making their last stand. Perhaps under the hands of the 2 demon emperors, the grand arrays would be destroyed with a single blow, and everyone would be exposed. In that case, the powerhouses would only have the fate of being massacred. Bastards! Looking at this scene, Du Xiaofu's eyes were bloodshot, and his heart was filled with hatred. He couldn't wait to rush over and tear the 8 demon emperor and the 9 demon emperor into pieces. However, he knew in his heart that even if he rushed over, it would be useless. As long as he went to deal with the 2 demon emperors, the great demon emperor, the 2nd demon emperor, and the 4th demon emperor, who were being restrained by him, would act accordingly and attack the hundreds of powerhouses. Go to hell! He! The 9 demon emperor laughed sinisterly again. Then, he struck out with his palm. Terrifying spatial ripples appeared around him, and he fiercely imprinted his palm on the crumbling grand arrays. Boom! Buzz! Amidst the terrifying boom, there was a weak buzzing sound. Under everyone's gaze, the last 2 layers of grand arrays were directly blasted apart by the palm. However, less than half of the terrifying power of the 9 demon emperor's palm had been consumed. After the demonic palm broke through the grand arrays, its remaining power did not decrease. It went straight down and brazenly bombarded the crowd in the grand arrays. Boom! Another terrifying explosion was heard, and the sound waves spread in all directions, causing everyone's eardrums to be muddled. The hundreds of people who were originally in the grand arrays were directly exposed to the 9 demon emperor's ferocious palm. That terrifying impact instantly covered more than 10 figures within it. At this time, these people had all been exhausted to the limit, and could not make any effective moves to resist. Moreover, with their strength and cultivation, they were completely unable to resist the demon emperor who was at the heavenly saint stage. All of them widened their eyes as they watched the 9 demon emperor's palms strike down. All of them could feel the powerful force invading their bodies. Then, there was a bang in their ears, and they lost all consciousness. In the distance, all of this fell into the eyes of Du Xiaofu. Bastard! Bastard! A terrifying roar suddenly erupted from his throat, and his eyes turned even redder. The dozens of people who had died were all people he was familiar with. Some were even close friends and relatives. Mu Qingge, Feng Wuxie, Lai Diao, Zongyuan, Rinyuan, Yao Tianwu, Jiang Yeting, Jialo Juekong, Han Yu, his friends, his relatives, had all been blown into clouds of blood mist by that palm strike, disappearing into thin air. One by one, fresh lives disappeared, annihilated into nothingness. Keek! The 9 demon emperor laughed sinisterly. Demonic chi swirled around his body and swept out, entangling the clouds of blood mist in the void. Then, it rolled back and entered his demonic body. In an instant, Du Xiaofu could clearly feel that the 9 demon emperor's aura was faintly rising. In the face of absolute strength, any amount of resistance is futile. Now, what other means do you have to fight against us? The massacre has only just begun. Keek! The 8 demon emperor laughed loudly. His body flashed, and he rushed towards the crowd who had lost the protection of the grand arrays. As the demonic chi transformed, it condensed into a blood-red demonic blade in his hand. There was a ferocious look on his face, and there was a bloodthirsty cruelty in his eyes. He looked at the remaining hundreds of people as if he was looking at lambs. Without any hesitation, he raised the demonic blade in his hand, rose into the air, and slashed it down fiercely. Vast demonic chi boiled, and an unparalleled force swept out, instantly enveloping dozens of people. "Get lost!" In the distance, Du Xiaofu shouted sternly, and blood seemed to gush out of his eyes. He did not hesitate. After a flash of golden light, he disappeared from the spot and appeared in front of the 8-demon emperor. The purple-gold heavenly tower emitted a buzzing sound, and an incomparably resplendent sword light appeared in an instant. It directly slashed at the 8-demon emperor's head, intercepting it. "Du Xiaofu, open your eyes and take a good look at how these people are going to die today." Seeing that Du Xiaofu had stepped forward to stop the 8-demon emperor, the 9th demon emperor, who was not far away, laughed sinisterly and moved swiftly. He was not worried about the 8-demon emperor's safety at all. With his current strength, Du Xiaofu could easily deal with him. At this moment, he was slaughtering hundreds of stage experts in front of him, and it just so happened that he could distract the 8-demon emperor. As he spoke, the 9th demon emperor's palm shook the air, and demonic chi poured out crazily. It was like a heavenly river flowing in reverse. "Get lost!" Du Xiaofu's eyes were about to burst out of their sockets. He ruthlessly forced the 8-demon emperor back with a slash of his sword. Then, he used the Fuyao style and appeared in front of the 9th demon emperor again. He raised the purple-gold heavenly tower again and slashed it down. "Du Xiaofu, how can you save them? You'd better take one last look at these people." At this moment, the great demon emperor, the 2nd demon emperor, and the 4th demon emperor, who had been shaken off by Du Xiaofu, arrived at the same time and surrounded the remaining hundreds of people. The three of them moved at the same time, unleashing powerful attacks towards the powerful experts. "Devil religion!" Du Xiaofu's face turned green and swollen. He roared furiously with the divine sword and forced the 9th demon emperor back. Then, he waved his hand and the purple lightning profound cauldron was launched. The law of space and the law of lightning were activated at the same time, blocking the great demon emperor, the 2nd demon emperor, and the 4th demon emperor in an attempt to delay them for a while. However, each of his attacks was quickly neutralized by the demon emperors. The demon emperors moved quickly and launched attacks at the people again. The boundlessly violent demonic chi descended from the sky, carrying with it an unparalleled force that caused even the void to crumble and collapse. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's heart was filled with a deep sense of despair. 5 demon emperors and 5 heavenly saints attacked at the same time. With just his strength alone, he could not stop them at all. Wasn't the reason why he had worked so hard to cultivate so desperately to protect the people he wanted to protect? Now, so many people were dying tragically in front of him, and there were hundreds of people behind him who were about to die at the hands of the demon emperors. However, he could not care about them at all. He. Go to hell! Du Xiaofu turned around and attacked the 4th demon emperor with his sword. Unexpectedly, the 2nd demon emperor took the opportunity to close in on him and hit him on the back with his fist. Blarg! Du Xiaofu was caught off guard and spat out a mouthful of blood. On his back, the indestructible Xian body was torn apart, and a deep fist print was left behind. "Rock Emperor, don't worry about us. Although we are going to die, we have no regrets. We only hate ourselves for not being strong enough to kill more of the devil religion bastards and not being able to witness the annihilation of the devil religion. Rock Emperor, don't worry about us. You are the hope of all living things in this realm. Save your life and avenge us in the future. Rock Emperor, as long as you can wipe out the people of the devil religion from this realm one day, we will have no regrets even if we die." Seeing that Du Xiaofu was attacked, the powerhouses from the 3 continents, Kyushu, and other realms behind him shouted at Du Xiaofu weakly. Everyone knew that it would be very difficult for them to turn the situation around. With the power of the Rock Emperor alone, the lives of hundreds of people could not be saved no matter how many tricks he had up his sleeve. Instead of watching Du Xiaofu being toyed with by the demon emperors, they would rather give up their lives and deal with the devil religion. Although these demon emperors were powerful, there was an even more terrifying demon god in the distance who was recovering and had yet to awaken. If Du Xiaofu could not protect himself and increase his strength, then this realm would really be reduced to a demon realm, and all living things would not be able to escape death. Brother Xiaofu, don't worry about us, just deal with the demon emperors with all your strength. Du Xiaofu launched the Fuyao first style, once again, and blocked the claw of the great demon emperor, which was aimed at many experts. However, he heard a crisp female voice from the crowd, and it resounded in his ears. He was so familiar with this voice. Who else could it be other than the pure and lovely Dai Xingyu? Hearing those words, Du Xiaofu felt even more grief in his heart. Do I really have to sacrifice so many lives in this great calamity? Do I have to watch my family and friends die one by one and not save them for the sake of the big picture? I can't do that. What should I do? Du Xiaofu used all his tricks, including the purple thunder mysterious cauldron, the thunder martial vein, the purple gold heavenly palace, the law of space, the law of thunder and lightning, and many other magic skills, to stop the 5 demon emperors with difficulty. However, during this period, he was also attacked by the great demon emperor, the 2nd demon emperor, and the 8th demon emperor, which caused him to suffer serious injuries. However, because of this, the lives of hundreds of powerhouses in the 3 continents and the Kyushu region were temporarily saved. However, everyone's hearts were heavy. This was because there was a time when Du Xiaofu would be completely exhausted under the joint attack of the 5 demon emperors. At that time, not to mention the hundreds of powerhouses of the Sage Realm, even Du Xiaofu would be in great danger. Everyone felt despair in their hearts. How they wished that Du Xiaofu could go all out and fight against the demon emperors instead of putting himself in danger for them and the others. However, they knew that Du Xiaofu didn't want to see them die here. The demon god has not fully recovered, but the demon emperors dare to be so arrogant. Do you really think that we are all dead? Just as everyone was at a loss, a voice suddenly rang out in the void. Then, several figures flew across the sky and arrived at the battlefield in the blink of an eye. Chapter 2640. When the voice rang out, Du Xiaofu was overjoyed. That domineering sentence was like the sound of nature in his ears. Under the joint attack of the demon emperors, more than half of the pressure he had to bear was released. Fui bai! Du Xiaofu glanced behind him in surprise, only to see 5 figures rushing over. Before the 5 of them arrived, a large amount of dazzling light broke through the sky. The vast light condensed into a huge sharp sword in the void. It was as if it had pierced through the void from the ancient times and came to the present world. Radiance covered the world from the sharp sword in the air, causing everything in the area to dim down slightly. An enormous aura of righteousness wrapped around it, and it seemed as if it could annihilate all evil and ferocious beings in the world. The sword slashed directly at the great demon emperor's head. Master! Master! Among the crowd from the Kyushu region of the 3 continents, the pale-faced Ouyang Shuang and Dai Xingyu shouted at the 5 figures rushing over. Old farts, how dare you talk nonsense here? Don't you know that we are no longer the same as before? The great demon emperor snorted coldly, his voice hoarse and deep. However, when he saw the 5 figures rushing over, a grave look appeared on his thin and weak face. He extended a black claw that was covered in scales. Dense demonic aura surged as he directly grabbed at the sword light with an incomparably imposing aura. Chi. When the sharp claw and the sword light collided, the 2 opposing forces instantly intertwined and consumed each other. The terrifying energy shattered and swept out, drowning the entire area in an instant. At the same time, 4 figures rushed toward the 2nd demon emperor, the 4th demon emperor, the 8th demon emperor, and the 9th demon emperor respectively. In an instant, they were engaged in a fierce battle. Behind Du Xiaofu, a group of experts from the 3 continents and Kyushu region of the 3 continents rose from the void in a sorry state. They were all moved by this sudden scene. Everyone knew what had happened. An expert had come to their aid. It's the East Deity, the West Demon, the South Scholar, the North Addict, and the Central Divinity. Very soon, someone learned of the identities of these 5 people and recognized them. I didn't expect them to have reached the Heavenly Saint stage and be able to fight the Demon Emperors head-on. Many people became excited, and their pale faces were filled with joy. Facing the full force of the demon emperors, these experts demon emperors, who had escaped death, they were saved by Du Xiaofu's demon emperors. At this moment, with the arrival of so many powerful reinforcements, they were naturally extremely excited. There was a sense of joy from surviving a calamity. Looking at the terrifying battle, all of them were looking forward to the few experts defeating the numerous demon emperors. "What a pity, so many people!" someone suddenly said. Someone, the is? From the moment everyone entered this space to the moment they comprehended and broke through, there were no less than 200 experts from the 3 continents, and 9 continents, that had perished. In addition, many of them had died in the foggy space. The death of so many experts, all of whom were at the heavenly saint stage and above, was a great loss to the living beings in this world. Most of the people who had died were familiar with each other, and many of them were close friends. At this moment, many of them were grieving. "If it weren't for the Rock Emperor, we would have died a violent death. This is a great calamity, a calamity that no one can escape from. Everything has just begun, and I don't know how many more people are going to die. In the primordial age, there was a tragic scene like this. Now, it's just a continuation of the primordial age. I hope all of this will end soon in our time." Many experts were gloomy, and their hearts were filled with grief and indignation. Regarding the calamity caused by the devil religion, everyone was filled with sorrow. "Big brother Xiaofu, how are you feeling?" Dai Xingyu walked up to Du Xiaofu in the air and asked softly while everyone was lamenting. "What about you?" "Don't worry, I'm fine." Du Xiaofu squeezed out a smile and said to Dai Xingyu. The qi in his body circulated continuously as he adjusted his breathing. The wounds on his chest and back were also slowly healing under the effect of the immortal Xian body. After the arrival of Fu Yibai and the others, his hands were slightly free. Seeing that little Xingxing's battle situation was a little tense, but fortunately, there wasn't much danger for the time being. Du Xiaofu also took the opportunity to recover from his injuries. 5 people, all of them at the heavenly saint stage. Seeing Fu Yibai, Crazy Ol, and the others fighting the devil emperor, Du Xiaofu's eyes narrowed. These 5 people were indeed the people arranged by the master of the 3,000 great worlds. Their strength was indeed powerful. He originally thought that after breaking through to the half-step heavenly saint stage, he was already at the top of this world. He didn't expect the strength of these 5 people to be so terrifying. However, it was fortunate that this was the case. Otherwise, the hundreds of heavenly saint stage experts here would really be wiped out in today's battle. "Xingyu, take everyone and leave this place first." Du Xiaofu turned his head and said to Dai Xingyu, Ouyang Shuang, and the others. The hundreds of experts here wouldn't be of much use in the face of a few heavenly saint stage devil emperors. It was better to let them leave and preserve their strength to deal with the people of the devil religion outside. "Then be careful and take good care of little Qilin," Ouyang Shuang reminded Du Xiaofu, and then looked at little Qilin, who was fighting with the half-step heavenly saints of the devil religion. "Brother Xiaofu, be careful. We'll wait for you outside," Dai Xingyu said with concern. Then, without further delay, they gathered the experts and prepared to leave this place. "Rock Emperor, we'll leave first." "Grand Wizard, we'll leave first." "Rock Emperor, take care." Many experts cupped their fists and bowed deeply to Du Xiaofu from afar. Then, the hundreds of heavenly saint stage experts turned around and quickly retreated into the distance. They knew very well that they had used up too much of their strength, and were unable to continue fighting. If they stayed here, they would only be a burden to Du Xiaofu and the others. It was better for them to leave so that the experts wouldn't be distracted. However, everyone's hearts were heavy. This was because Du Xiaofu and the others were not only going to face a few heavenly saint stage devil emperors, but also a demon god who was still recovering and could wake up at any time. At that time, no one knew what the situation would be like. "Now, it's time for you to pay the price." After watching the experts leave, Du Xiaofu heaved a sigh of relief. Then, his eyes suddenly narrowed. He turned around and looked at the 5 demon emperors in the field. Then 2 bright thunderbolts shot out from his eyes. His robe had been torn into pieces. However, at this time, it was stretched taut in the void and fluttered in the wind. His domineering aura kept rising from his body. The purple gold light shot out and made him look like a deity. Senior Bei Qi, go and help little Xingxing. Leave 9 Demon Emperor to me, Du Xiaofu said in a low voice. Then, he flew out and rushed to 9 Demon Emperor. Okay, Crazy O replied. Then, in a flash, he got rid of 9 Demon Emperor and rushed toward the 5th Demon Emperor, 6th Demon Emperor, and 7th Demon Emperor to help little Xingxing. 9 Demon Emperor, prepare to die! Du Xiaofu shouted. He waved one of his palms in the void. With a boom, a thick thunderbolt was formed in the blink of an eye. It was like a huge mountain range that was blooming with light. Then, it blasted toward 9 Demon Emperor. Du Xiaofu, you are far from enough to kill me! 9 Demon Emperor snorted. His aura suddenly surged. He did not dodge. Instead, he rushed toward the fierce thunderbolt. At the same time, a steady stream of demon chi gathered in his palms. As if it was ignited by some mysterious force, it quickly condensed into 2 gloomy black flames. These 2 flames seemed to have come from the netherworld. Once they appeared, the temperature in the void fell instead of rising. It suddenly became so cold that it sent chills down one's spine. Gloomy dark flame, kill! 9 Demon Emperor shouted. Then, he waved his hands. The 2 gloomy black flames were shot out by him. They expanded in the wind and instantly became tens of thousands of feet wide. In this space, it was as if a severe cold had suddenly arrived. Frost fell and sprinkled down. Even the lightning pillar was enveloped by the frost, its luster becoming a little hazy. These 2 flames were like 2 barriers that stood in front of 9 Demon Emperor. They blocked the thunderbolt directly. Boom! The 2 collided with a loud bang, and the lightning beams seemed to have hit a huge mountain, causing a terrifying roar to erupt. The 2 forces were shattered in an instant. Dazzling light mixed with gloomy black light. They intertwined and collided violently, forming a matchless storm that swept out. Countless talisman markings surged like raging waves that whistled and surged. Everywhere they passed, expanse after expanse of space collapsed and obliterated everything. 9 Demon Emperor retreated unconsciously in this torrent of energy. He did not dare to stay there. Kill! However, Du Xiaofu did not retreat. Instead, he advanced. With a flash of purple gold light, he activated the Fuyao flash and disappeared from where he was. When he reappeared, he was already in front of 9 Demon Emperor. This move again. It's a pity that it's not very useful in front of me. 9 Demon Emperor snorted coldly in the face of Du Xiaofu's move. He had seen this strange space technique many times. When he was in Snow Spirit Mountain, he was killed by Du Xiaofu before he could self-explode. However, he was now in the Heaven Saint realm. Although his attainments in the law of space were not as good as the purple-robed young man's, it would not be so easy for him to take advantage of this unexpected move to kill him again. When this move was used, it did not cause any spatial fluctuations. Therefore, no one could detect Du Xiaofu's movement. However, 9 Demon Emperor had enough means to deal with any subsequent attack. As he spoke, 9 Demon Emperor moved. Heavenly Demon Blood Armor, formed for me! He placed his hands in front of his chest. His 10 fingers crossed and changed constantly. Strange and indescribable hand seals were formed in an instant. Following that, an extremely strange and majestic aura descended upon the area. This aura was no different from the aura of the demon god. It was vast and ferocious, containing an endless bloodthirsty aura. It surged violently and invaded every inch of space. When one was in it, it was as if one could see a sea of blood flowing in the sky. Mountains of corpses were floating in it, emitting a ferocious aura. At the same time, the moment the aura descended, layers of demonic chi gathered around 9 Demon Emperor and enveloped his body. The demonic chi solidified and covered his body like a suit of armor. It flickered with a cold blood-red light. Holy Sword, roar! At this time, just as Nine Demon Emperor was done with all this, Du Xiaofu's attack descended. A sword light that pierced through the heavens and the earth rose into the sky, causing the entire space to tremble violently. The sword light slashed straight at the Nine Demon Emperor without any deviation. In a hurry, Nine Demon Emperor did not have time to use any more techniques. He could only cross his arms and raise them above his head to receive the sword light. Boom! Boom! The sword light slashed down and mercilessly slashed Nine Demon Emperor's arms. The terrifying power was vast and mighty. It directly sent the armored demonic body flying thousands of miles away. The sword light's momentum did not diminish. It brazenly slashed down and landed in the void, creating a ravine that looked like a fiery abyss. It was suffused with a pitch-black luster and completely engulfed the sword light. What an insane defense! Du Xiaofu withdrew his sword. He realized that although Nine Demon Emperor had been sent flying, he did not suffer any injuries after taking the blow from the sword light. Only the blood-red armor on his arms had been shattered. His flesh and blood had been torn apart, revealing his eerie bones. Wisps of demonic chi swirled and swirled around his wounds. Very soon, they had recovered slightly. Moreover, the shattered armor was once again condensed and restored to its original appearance. Du Xiaofu, I can't kill you one-on-one. However, I have the heavenly demonic blood armor. My defense is close to that of Lord Demon God. What means do you have to say that you can kill me? Nine Demon Emperor looked at Du Xiaofu and said with a hideous smile. The blow just now did not seem to hurt him at all. It did not cause him any injuries at all. With Du Xiaofu's current strength, he could not completely break through his defense. Although that kid had many tricks up his sleeves, it was absolutely impossible for him to kill him. Comparable to a demon god's defense? Du Xiaofu narrowed his eyes and felt a little solemn. On the other side, Fui Bai, Du Xiaoyao, Little Xingxing, and the others were all fighting very intensely. If they could not get rid of Nine Demon Emperor as soon as possible, no one knew if someone would unfortunately die. Moreover, there was a demon god who was rapidly recovering and could wake up at any time. It seems like I can only fight with my life on the line. Chapter 2641. Du Xiaofu narrowed his eyes. After witnessing the Nine Demon Emperor's insane defense, he didn't want to test it out again because he really didn't have the time to waste. Whether it was his sister Du Xiaojing, his drunkard father, Du Xiaoyao, or Little Xingxing, Fui Bai, and the others, they all needed his support. If he wanted to break the current situation, he had to kill at least one Demon Emperor. Although the Nine Demon Emperor's blood-red armor condensed from demonic chi was strong enough, if he really went all out, it didn't mean that he couldn't do anything to him. The defense of the Nine Demon Emperor's armor was said to be close to that of a demon god, but from that attack just now, Du Xiaofu knew that such a defense was only said in name. Even if it was comparable to a demon god's defense, it definitely wouldn't be a demon god at his peak. Otherwise, his holy sword roar wouldn't have been able to break the armor and injure the Nine Demon Emperor. However, although he knew this, it didn't mean that Du Xiaofu underestimated the Nine Demon Emperor at this time. At the very least, the Nine Demon Emperor's defense was not much weaker than his immortal Xian body. With that thought in mind, Du Xiaofu's hand moved. The purple-gold heavenly tower in his hand suddenly trembled and gathered an immeasurable amount of energy, shining brightly. Then, his body flashed and disappeared in the void. He used the Fuyao style and directly rushed in front of the Nine Demon Emperor, breaking through the void. Dominating sword way! Du Xiaofu roared. The broadsword carried an extremely sharp aura, flashing and unstoppable. Without any fancy moves, it slashed toward the Nine Demon Emperor's head. Roar! As the sword fell, the azure dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird, and black tortoise roared ferociously, shaking the void. A terrifying pressure instantly spread out in the air. The incomparably dominating sword aura cut through the void and fell on the Nine Demon Emperor's head. Humph! The Ninth Demon Emperor snorted coldly. As he retreated, the blood-red armor on his body squirmed and transformed, covering his head and face, forming an even tighter defense. Even his eyes were covered by a thin layer of demonic light. Du Xiaofu's spatial technique was too strange. Even if the Nine-Demon Emperor wanted to dodge it, it was too late. No matter where he went, the other party would be able to catch up to him in a flash. Therefore, he could only defend with all his might and passively fight. As for Du Xiaofu, it was obvious that he wanted to pursue him with all his might in an attempt to kill him. How could such thoughts be hidden from the Nine-Demon Emperor? "If you want to hurt me, you'll have to pay the price yourself. Limitless underworld flames, kill!" The Nine-Demon Emperor bellowed coldly as he watched Du Xiaofu's broadsword descend upon his head. He could clearly feel the terrifying sharpness of the sword descending upon him, causing his heart to palpitate for no reason. However, due to the protection of the blood-red armor, the Nine-Demon Emperor was not worried that this attack would cause him too much damage. Instead of being chased by Du Xiaofu, he would rather fight it out with him. Even if he was injured, he would not let his opponent have an easy time. As the Nine-Demon Emperor spoke, he raised both his palms at the same time. Demonic chi continued to gather on his palms, condensing into two balls of dark flames. Then, he clasped his palms together. Within the raging flames, the two balls of flames instantly collided and fused together, turning into an even more vast ball of black flames. His aura skyrocketed. Following that, an extremely strange and boundless aura spread out. The flames burned silently, as if they had burned through the netherworld and had come to this world. When such a ball of flames was formed, Du Xiaofu's sword light had already landed heavily on the Nine-Demon Emperor's head. Qi-la, the domineering sharpness of the sword light slashed down, wreaking havoc and cutting through the armor on the Nine-Demon Emperor's head. During this process, the purple-gold heavenly palace's momentum was greatly hindered, and its strength was reduced by more than 70%. However, the remaining ferocious force still managed to break through the Nine-Demon Emperor's armor and landed on his head. That sharp aura directly cut through the Nine-Demon Emperor's scalp and penetrated into his skull. Only then did it stop its momentum. At this time, the ball of dark flames in the Nine-Demon Emperor's hands brazenly bombarded Du Xiaofu's chest. Boom! With the huge impact, Du Xiaofu's body was sent flying again. That ball of serene flame immediately shattered, exploding and scattering in the air. The surrounding temperature suddenly dropped, as if a severe cold had suddenly arrived, freezing the entire void. In the distant sky, Du Xiaofu forcibly stopped himself in the void and swallowed a mouthful of blood. At his chest, there was a bloody mess, which was caused by the Nine-Demon Emperor. The flesh at the wound was covered with a layer of frost, emitting a faint cold air. The defense is indeed strong enough. Du Xiaofu circulated the Xian Qi in his body, and the immortal Xian body automatically repaired the wound. His eyes were burning as he looked at the Nine-Demon Emperor. On the demon's body, the armor on his head cracked, and a 2-finger-wide crack appeared on his skull. Demon blood gushed out like a fountain. Ah! The Nine-Demon Emperor hugged his head and let out a howl in pain. After a fierce battle, both of them were seriously injured, and their blood and qi were shaken. Void 8 trigrams! After a while, Du Xiaofu suddenly shouted, and the purple-gold heavenly palace in his hand was released, and it floated in the void in front of him. Then, his 10 fingers moved rapidly, forming a series of complicated and strange hand seals. Buzz! As the hand seals formed, the void 8 trigrams formed again in the sky above him, circling and emitting a vast aura. At the same time, the thunder martial vein and the 8 spiritual thunders rushed out at the same time, entangling with the 8 trigrams, and complementing each other. Boom! Boom! Whoosh! Whoosh! Heavenly lightning, earthly fire, mountains, rivers, and lakes appeared above his head and below his feet, setting off his purple-robed body, making him look like a deity. Kill! In the void 8 trigrams, Du Xiaofu reached out and grabbed the purple-gold heavenly palace in front of him. Then, he stretched out his body and dove toward the Nine-Demon Emperor. The void 8 trigrams, thunder martial vein, heavenly lightning, earthly fire, mountains, rivers, and lakes, everything moved with his body in the void, and in a flash, he was next to the 9 demon emperor. Heaven above and earth shaking, heavenly lightning destruction! Du Xiaofu shouted. Under the 8 trigrams, heavenly lightning rolled, lightning flashed, and thunder roared. Dazzling runes intertwined to form a giant lightning net, which traversed the universe. The Yang Qi swept out and suppressed the 9 demon emperor directly. God-slaying heavenly demon fist, open for me! Facing Du Xiaofu's attack again, the 9 demon emperor swung his fist violently. Layers of demonic qi gathered on his fist, and he fiercely smashed it toward the giant lightning net. Boom! Terrifying vibrations spread out. The moment the 2 different energies collided, they instantly exploded. Dense runes and mysterious runes surged out, whistling in all directions like a flock of ants leaving their nest. They eroded the void, forming a terrifying black hole, which seemed to be able to devour everything. The 2 people in the center of the energy surged out of their bodies, and they quickly retreated from the area. While retreating, Du Xiaofu's hands were still forming seals, and an invisible power rippled. With him as the center, the 8 trigrams in the void continued to spread out. The 8 trigrams evolved, changed, and derived. Heaven above and earth below, earthly fire, bright destruction. As Du Xiaofu's hand seals changed, billowing flames spewed out from the void under his feet. It was like a sea of fire rising, intertwining, entangling, and fusing with the lightning to form an even more powerful attack. Kid, I won't let you have an easy time today! The 9 demon emperor roared angrily. He waved his fists again, and he fought with Du Xiaofu. Both of them had profound cultivations, and their strength was not ordinary. Every move they made contained an enormous amount of power. The thunder roared, the sea of fire boiled, and waves of demonic qi surged, causing the void to be annihilated, and the world to lose its color. However, when one's strength had reached such a level, it was difficult for anyone to deal with the other party in a short time. However, Du Xiaofu adopted the method of exchanging injury for injury, and fighting with his life on the line. He was fighting with his life on the line, and he would be able to last until the end. For a time, purple gold blood and demonic blood scattered, igniting the void. Attack after attack landed on each other, and flesh and blood splattered everywhere. On the other side, Du Xiaoyao and the other half-step Heavenly Saint experts were locked in a fierce battle. In the lineup of the Sanlikyushu realm, besides Du Xiaoyao who had reached the half-step Heavenly Saint realm, there were also Du Tingxian, Du Xiaojing, Jialo Juoyu, Little Qilin, Du Yunlong, Jin Qingchen, Yi Piaoling, Zi Xian, Du Xiaohuang, Chan Guyu, and so on. There were a total of 14 half-step Heavenly Saints. On the side of the devil religion, there were 12 half-step Heavenly Saint experts. The overall strength of both sides was not too different, but because everyone had just broken through, there was not an insurmountable gap in their cultivation. So, for a time, no one could do anything to the other. However, the experts of the 3 continents and the 9 continents were at a slight advantage in the overall battle because they had the advantage in numbers. However, it was not easy to take down the devil religion in a short period of time. To the people of the devil religion, although they were at a disadvantage in numbers, they had more than enough to protect themselves. Among the people of the devil religion, the ones who received the most care were Moksha and Mo Lingzi. Du Xiaoyao and Du Xiaojing attacked together and fought fiercely with Moksha. Both of them knew that Moksha should have the divine thunder cauldron on him. Now that they had reached the most critical moment, the importance of the divine thunder cauldron was obvious. Only by suppressing this person would they have the chance to obtain the purple thunder cauldron. Because of the joint attack of the 2 terrifying experts, Moksha seemed to be a little flustered and did not have time to deal with it. In the end, he actually summoned 2 divine thunder cauldrons and attacked Du Xiaoyao and Du Xiaojing at the same time. You actually have 2 divine thunder cauldrons on you. Today, they are mine! Du Xiaoyao's huge red-boned horse-monkey body occupied the void. Her huge palms swept across the sky and broke the sky. She roared angrily and pressed down on Moksha again and again. Du Xiaojing's slender figure also moved. Her fierce attacks were like a storm, covering Moksha within. Not far away from Du Xiaoyao, Du Xiaojing, and Moksha, Mo Lingzi's situation was almost the same as Moksha's. Du family's bloodline, but you are willing to be the lackey of the devil religion. Damn it! Du Tingshuan's long lightning spear pierced through the boundless void and attacked fiercely. Today, we will take off his hood and take a good look at his identity, and how he is related to my Du family. Du Yunlong controlled the hallowed bell and moved horizontally in the void. A boundless and heavy aura exploded and crushed the sky. Now I am also a half-step heavenly saint and am not weaker than the two of you. So if you want to touch me, the two of you are not enough. Unless Du Xiaofu personally takes action. Mo Lingzi's black robe covered his body and his face, making others unable to see his true appearance. His tone was calm and unwavering. Even though he was surrounded by two people, he still seemed to be extremely calm. Du Tingxian, Du Yunlong, and Mo Lingzi all had lightning martial veins. In the fierce battle, terrifying lightning constantly collided and intertwined in the void, releasing a terrifying aura. To deal with you, there is no need for my third brother to take action. Du Yunlong snorted coldly. His cloud robe fluttered, and the hallowed bell was like an extremely majestic mountain. It carried a terrifying force and pressed down with a rumble, falling directly on Mo Lingzi's head. Dang! A vast bell sound reverberated, deafening the deaf and causing the heaven and earth to tremble. The endless heavy aura was emitted, and the light was like the water of the Milky Way as it poured down, shattering and disintegrating the void. With just the two of us, it's enough to kill you! Du Tingshuan's spear pierced out, breaking through layers of spatial obstructions, and directly approaching Mo Lingzi. Roar! A lightning dragon roared and rushed out from the spear, breaking the void with its roar. The dragon opened its mouth wide, wanting to swallow Mo Lingzi's entire body. I said the two of you are not enough. Divine Lightning Cauldron, go! Mo Lingzi lightly snorted and suddenly waved his hands. Two black shadows whizzed out. One went to meet the hallowed bell above his head, and the other went to block the lightning dragon in front of him. When the two black shadows streaked across the void, there was a vast purple-gold lightning crazily pouring down with monstrous momentum. You actually have two divine lightning cauldrons. The devil religion really thinks highly of you. Such a scene caused Du Tingshuan's gaze to harden fiercely. The reason why he and Du Yunlong didn't let Mo Lingzi go was indeed because they wanted to know his true identity. In fact, Du Tingxian had already guessed it in his heart. However, without seeing it with his own eyes, he wasn't willing to believe it. It could be said that Mo Lingzi's existence had already become a knot in Du Tingshuan's heart. If he couldn't personally take off his hood and see his true appearance, this knot in his heart would be hard to untie. At this moment, Mo Lingzi raised his hand and threw out two divine lightning cauldrons. It could be seen that the devil religion really thought highly of this person. Who knew if there was some unspeakable secret behind this move? I have the lightning martial vein and the help of the divine lightning cauldrons. What makes you think you can suppress me? Mo Lingzi calmly said, not caring about Du Tingxian and Du Yunlong's attacks at all. The two divine lightning cauldrons whistled through the air and collided with the hallowed bell and the lightning dragon at almost the same time. Boom, dang! A huge explosion and the sound of the bell resonated at the same time. Instantly, a terrifying sound wave rippled out and impacted in all directions. The hallowed bell was struck into the air, humming and vibrating endlessly. As for the lightning dragon that Du Tingxian stabbed out, it exploded in a split second. The destroyed lightning was crazily devoured by the divine lightning cauldrons. The figures of the three of them moved backwards at the same time, dodging the torrent of energy that filled the sky. Du Tingxian and Du Yunlong retreated 100 miles before stabilizing their bodies. Looking at Mo Lingzi again, he was sent tumbling away by the two's attacks, and only stopped after 1,000 miles. So what if you have the divine lightning cauldrons? I'm afraid you don't even have the ability to refine them. Du Yunlong lightly snorted. His body stretched taut like a large bow as he abruptly shot towards Mo Lingzi in the air. At the same time, he stretched out his hand and beckoned. The hallowed bell hummed as it moved, crushing through the endless void and fiercely crushing towards Mo Lingzi's location. Kill! When Du Yunlong made his move, Du Tingxian also made his move. The Thunder Dragon's spear in his hand was dragged behind him as he stepped on the endless void and ran wildly. With every step he took, the void directly burst open. Kill! Mo Lingzi also lightly shouted. Endless purple-gold lightning poured out from the two divine lightning cauldrons and poured into the lightning martial vein outside his body. In the blink of an eye, the thunderbolts above his thunder martial vein became incomparably thick, releasing an extremely terrifying aura. Walala! Under Mo Lingzi's control, the lightning martial vein followed in the void. This lightning martial vein that was supported by the divine lightning cauldrons was like a huge net that enveloped the sky. Bolts of purple-gold lightning bombarded down and collided with Du Tingxian and Du Yunlong once again. Shaojing, I'll leave this moksha to you for a while. I'll go help your father and kill that Mo Lingzi first. In the distance, Du Xiaoyao spied on the scene over there, and couldn't help but say to Du Xiaojing. That pair of scarlet pheasant monkey eyes that were as bright as the sun bloomed with golden light. No problem, leave this to me, Du Xiaojing responded. Her beautiful figure flashed, and one attack after another was launched towards Moksha. In fact, she was also very puzzled in her heart. Who was that Mo Lingzi's true identity? What kind of relationship did he have with the Du family? Why did he have the lightning martial vein? Her father seemed to have already guessed it, but he wasn't willing to mention it. She also didn't want to ask too much. However, this matter wasn't only a knot in her father's heart for Du Tingxian, it was also an unresolvable gloom for the entire Du family. Through her brother's information, many people in the Du family knew that the lightning martial vein was set up by the Du family's ancestor. However, their ancestor fell because of the demon god. Now, there was a descendant who had the lightning martial vein who was willing to be controlled by the demon god. This made everyone in the Du family feel very puzzled, and at the same time, indescribable grief and indignation. Chapter 2642. It could be said that as long as Mo Lingzi wasn't eliminated, it would be a stain on the entire Du family. To the Du family, a person who had forgotten his ancestors was someone that everyone had the right to punish. Du Xiaojing was also a member of the Du family, so of course, he also had such a complex. Now that everyone had broken through to the half-step heavenly saint realm, her father and second brother were still unable to take down Mo Lingzi even under their joint efforts. This made her feel somewhat anxious in her heart. At this moment, Du Xiaoyao proposed to help her father and second brother deal with Mo Lingzi, and she immediately agreed to it. Aoo! Du Xiaoyao's red-boned horse monkey's body let out an earth-shaking roar, and her mountain-like figure crossed over. With a few strides, she had already arrived in the middle of Du Tingxian, Du Yunlong, and Mo Lingzi's battle circle. That enormous red-boned horse monkey's palm descended from the sky, an endless mighty force poured out, as if it covered the entire sky, shattering the void. You think you can do anything to me just because you have more people? Facing Du Xiaoyao's ferocious addition, Mo Lingzi spoke calmly. However, he didn't dare to be the slightest bit negligent when he made his move. The strength of these three people wasn't inferior to him. If he didn't treat them seriously, he might really die here today. Nether Blood Light, Hell's Gate! Open! Mo Lingzi let out a deep roar as his hands continuously formed seals. A bizarre and indescribable charm rapidly spread out in this space. Immediately after, a huge crack suddenly appeared in the void. Endless evil aura surged out from the crack, spreading out in the void. In the eyes of Du Tingxian, Du Yunlong, and Du Xiaoyao, waves of evil aura surged in the void like raging waves. In just an instant, the evil aura condensed into a substance, turning into a sea of blood that overflowed the sky. Whoop! Suddenly, the wails of evil spirits resounded from within the spatial crack. Following that, one after another, ferocious scarlet eyes shot out from within, followed by countless evil spirits and evil spirits. Like an army of the netherworld, they broke through the seal of the domain, stepping on turbid waves of evil aura beneath their feet. Their bloody claws were sharp, and their fangs were dense. The instant they charged out of the crack, they pounced towards Du Tingxian, Du Yunlong, and Du Xiaoyao. Roar! A large swathe of malicious ghosts rushed up into the sky, directly entangling little demon Du's huge golden palm. A terrifying dark and ruthless aura was released, the fanged halberd opened, and the sharp claws tore. In just a moment, it caused little demon Du's huge palm to peel off a large amount of golden light, and the originally fierce and ferocious aura also weakened a little in an instant. You have the lightning martial vein, but you use such a sinister trick! Du Tingxian snorted coldly. His long spear was like a wild dragon, fiercely thrusting out, and the vast power of thunder and lightning. With a twist, a large number of evil spirits that pounced in front of him were shattered into pieces in the void. Clang! Under Du Yunlong's control, the sacred bell of laying desolation rang loudly. After a deafening sound, countless evil spirits collapsed and dissipated into nothingness. Evil spirits, kill them all! Du Tingxian shouted loudly. With a wave of his hand, the lightning martial vein moved, and terrifying thunderbolts struck down, tearing through the void and shaking the universe. The mighty yang aura swept out, carrying the power to destroy everything, and directly enveloped the evil spirits that filled the sky. Thunderbolts poured down, roaring and roaring. Large numbers of evil spirits were directly blasted into pieces by this fierce and overbearing power. You want to stop me with such petty tricks? Do you really think I'm a vegetarian? Du Xiaoyao shouted coldly. His huge palm swept across the sky, facing the evil spirits, and did not dodge. His palm fiercely slammed down, brazenly crushing countless evil spirits, and evil spirits were crushed into pieces, and they let out miserable cries that sounded like they were crying to the heavens and the earth. Then, the energy in Du Xiaoyao's body erupted, and the momentum of his palm did not decrease at all, directly slamming into the boundless sea of blood. Sacred bell of laying desolation, suppress! Du Yunlong also moved, and an incomparably heavy aura erupted from the sacred bell of laying desolation. It was as if a mountain was collapsing, and bright thunderbolts lingered on it, adding to its ferocious power. Chi-La! The boundless sea of blood in the void directly collapsed under the power of the huge red-boned horse monkey's palm, and the sacred bell of laying desolation. Boom, boom, boom! Violent explosions resounded, and densely packed runes flew out. It was as if 10,000 mountains were collapsing, and 1,000 waves came roaring, causing the entire void to boil. The spatial crack that seemed to connect the netherworld to hell melted like ice under the terrifying fluctuations. Kill! Mo Lingzi roared. He never thought that he would be able to stop the three of them with this method. Seeing that Du Tingxian, Du Yunlong, and Du Xiaoyao were quickly breaking his method, his figure also moved. In each of his hands there was a purple lightning profound cauldron, and he fiercely threw them in the direction of Du Xiaoyao and Du Yunlong. Among the three of them, the ones that he feared the most were these two. One of them had the body of a red-boned horse monkey, and the other controlled an unparalleled treasure like the sacred bell of laying desolation. Only by relying on the purple lightning profound cauldron could he slightly contend against the three of them. After the two divine lightning cauldrons were thrown out, Mo Lingzi's figure flashed, and he pounced towards Du Tingxian. Two masses of demonic qi were enshrouded in his palms. After he fiercely clapped his hands, they turned into a black spear, piercing through the void and releasing a terrifying aura. Come on! Du Tingxian lightly shouted, and the lightning dragon's spear in his hand fiercely shook. Spatial ripples spread out, and terrifying lightning swirled around. Just as Mo Lingzi was about to get close, the spear swung horizontally, and the bright lightning turned into a thick dragon, sweeping out with its tail. Such a lightning dragon tail fiercely collided with Mo Lingzi's demonic qi that was formed by the demonic qi. After a bang sound, the two forces shattered one after another. Terrifying energy waves rippled, and the two figures were sent flying at the same time. Mo Lingzi, die! At this time, Du Xiaoyao and Du Yunlong had repelled the two purple lightning profound cauldrons, and they had already surrounded Mo Lingzi. Taking advantage of the time when he was sent flying, Du Yunlong's conquering sacred bell and Du Xiaoyao's huge golden palm, one in front and one behind, arrived in front of Mo Lingzi, and suppressed him. In his panic, Mo Lingzi didn't have time to make an effective defense. Demonic qi surged out from his body, wrapping his body within, and formed a shield with all his strength. Clang! With the suppression of the conquering sacred bell, this unparalleled treasure emitted a terrifying and heavy aura as it crushed down. Under this terrifying and heavy aura, the demonic qi shield outside Mo Lingzi's body shattered inch by inch, peeling off like a wall. Finally, with a bang, it completely shattered, revealing his body that was covered by a hood. And at this time, Du Xiaoyao's palm followed closely behind, and fiercely slammed onto Mo Lingzi's chest. Boom! This terrifying palm was like the collapse of a part of the sky, and directly sent Mo Lingzi flying, smashing through the boundless void. A mouthful of black blood spurted out from the mouth under the hood, dragging a long trace in the air. Mo Lingzi's clothes on his chest were torn apart, revealing his flesh and blood. However, the hood that covered his head was still intact, and there was no way to see his true appearance. Kill! With Mo Lingzi injured, how could Du Tingxian let go of such an opportunity? As he was sent flying, his imposing figure rose into the air, and like a bolt of lightning, he rapidly swept over. At the same time, the lightning martial vein that occupied the void turned into a huge net, and was even faster than Du Tingxuan's speed. It directly covered Mo Lingzi's head. Purple lightning profound cauldron! Seeing Du Tingxuan's arrival, Mo Lingzi waved his hand while flying backward, and the two divine lightning cauldrons moved with a whistling sound. One of them rose into the air, and faced Du Tingxuan's lightning martial vein. The other one was held in his hand, and fiercely smashed down towards Du Tingxian, who had already arrived in front of him. The two purple lightning profound cauldrons both dragged along terrifying purple gold lightning, and brazenly smashed down. Even with the purple lightning profound cauldron in your hand, you won't be able to escape death today! Du Tingxuan's spear pierced through the void, and turned into a lightning dragon. It roared as it rushed out, and fiercely collided with the purple lightning profound cauldron. Boom! Amidst the loud collision, the two colors of lightning instantly exploded. A fierce and overbearing aura surged in the void, sweeping across and destroying everything. At this moment, Mo Lingzi and Du Tingxian were both sent flying. However, at this moment, Du Yunlong and Du Xiaoyao followed up and attacked. The hallowed bell rang, and the huge golden palm moved through the air. The two attacks, one after the other, still landed on Mo Lingzi's body without any hindrance. Under the suppression of the hallowed bell, Mo Lingzi's body burst open, and demonic blood splashed out, sprinkling into the void. After that, Du Xiaoyao struck out with a palm, and once again sent him flying, causing him to spit out a long blood arrow. If the three of us can't deal with you, Mo Lingzi, then this world deserves to be occupied by the devil religion, and become a devil domain. Du Tingxian dragged his spear, and swiftly swept over. As he took step after step in the void, the battle intent and murderous aura all over his body also crazily rose. This time, Mo Lingzi suffered the joint attack of Du Xiaoyao and Du Yunlong, and was in an extremely difficult situation. How could he have the time to react? He didn't even have the time to use his devil qi to protect himself, and Du Tingxuan's spear had already arrived in front of him, aiming straight for his face. That fierce spear energy had yet to land, and it already caused Mo Lingzi to feel a piercing pain. At the same time, there was a fierce and invisible force that passed through his body, and invaded his primordial spirit. If he was really hit by this spear, even his primordial spirit would have a hard time escaping, and he would end up dying an unnatural death. In a hurry, Mo Lingzi could only fiercely twist his body, and tilt his neck back, in an attempt to dodge this spear that carried a murderous aura. However, under the swift and violent momentum of the spear, it still pierced through his black robe, and that fierce spear tip pierced his covered nose. Do you think you can dodge it? Seeing that his attack had hit, Du Dingxuan's spear suddenly changed from a straight stab to a horizontal sweep, with the intention of splitting Mo Lingzi's head apart. However, at this time, Mo Lingzi had already slightly recovered his strength. His feet abruptly stopped in the void, and his figure retreated to the side. Poof! Although this spear of Du Dingxuan's didn't have any effect, under the eruption of that unparalleled power, it released a terrifying and fierce aura that still streaked across the side of Mo Lingzi's face, leaving a deep wound on his face. At the same time, a "Chi-la" sound could be heard. The robe on Mo Lingzi's head was swept by the spear aura, and it directly exploded into pieces. Immediately after, Mo Lingzi's true appearance was finally exposed under the light of day. It was a handsome face, but at this moment, it was completely pale. The tip of his nose and the side of his face were all injured by Du Dingxuan's spear. Fresh blood flowed out from the wounds, making him look extremely miserable. However, at this moment, there wasn't any miserable expression on this face. Especially that pair of ash-white eyes, there wasn't any fluctuation of life in them. They were greenish-gray, like a pool of stagnant water, without any ripples. When Du Xiaoyao, Du Yunlong, and Du Tingxian saw this face, the attacks that they were brewing weren't able to land for a moment. It's him. With a single glance, Du Xiaoyao and Du Yunlong both recognized the identity of the person before them. The two of them exchanged glances with each other, both of them carrying some astonishment, and at the same time, some relief. Although they had already guessed Mo Lingzi's identity, when they truly saw him with their own eyes, they still felt astonished. You guys have finally gotten what you wanted. Aren't you very pleasantly surprised and surprised? Mo Lingzi gently turned his head and looked at Du Xiaoyao and Du Yunlong. Finally, his gaze stopped on Du Tingxian. The words that came out of his mouth were still so indifferent, as if there wasn't any emotion to speak of. It's really you. Du Tingxian stared blankly at Mo Lingzi's face. After a long while, he muttered to himself with a sense of loss. In fact, he had already expected this outcome. However, when the truth was revealed, he still couldn't accept it. This young man was the younger generation that he valued the most back then. For the sake of his cultivation path, how much had he sacrificed? Du Chang, you're a member of the Du household, and the blood of the Du family flows in your body. Why are you willing to be the lackey of the devil religion? Du Yunlong stepped forward and asked coldly. Du household, Du Chang. These two names had already been forgotten by people for many years. However, today, people had no choice but to remember them. The Mo Lingzi in front of them was precisely the most outstanding talent of the younger generation of the Du household, and the number one talent of the entire Stone Dragon Empire, Du Chang. In his body, the blood of the Du family flowed, and he even had awakened the lightning martial vein. Who would have thought that as a descendant of the Du family, with the lightning martial vein engraved by the heavenly Tao, he was willing to be controlled by the devil god and go against the Du family in every aspect. This caused people to feel bitterly disappointed. It was precisely because of this that all these years, the people of the Du family wanted to uncover this person's true identity and reveal it to the world. They just wanted to see which descendant of the Du family would actually do such a thing of forgetting their ancestors. At this moment, when Mo Lingzi's true body appeared, Du Xiaoyao, Du Yunlong, and Du Tingxian felt indescribable grief and indignation in their hearts. Du household? Du family bloodline? Should I call you Uncle Tingxian? Ha ha. Mo Lingzi chuckled, but his expression didn't seem to have any fluctuations. He only said indifferently, Everything I have today was given to me by the devil religion. How I want to do things is not up to you guys to tell me what to do. His tone was extremely dull. Even when facing Du Tingxian, there wasn't the slightest fluctuation, as if he was facing an unrelated person. Du Chang! Du Tingxian recovered from his initial grief and indignation, and suddenly shouted, If you can realize your mistake and turn back today, I can make the decision to spare your life. Du Tingxian looked at Mo Lingzi with a burning gaze, his eyes carrying a hopeful expression. He truly hoped that the youth opposite him would agree to his request, even though he knew that it was almost impossible. However, there was still some unwillingness in his heart. No matter what, there was an inseparable relationship between him and Du Chang. Back then, Tianwu Academy's talisman department used the countless spirit herbs and heavenly treasures that Tianwu Academy had collected over the years. In addition, all the experts in the talisman department worked together to refine a single mighty emperor pellet, after 3 whole years. In the end, it was stolen by Du Tingxian and given to the young Du Chang to consume. A single mighty emperor pellet helped Du Chang to establish his foundation and pave his cultivation path. In the end, he became the most talented person among his peers in the entire Stone Dragon Empire. It was also because of this that Du Tingxian was placed at the top of Tianwu Academy's bounty list. Furthermore, the first set of martial skills that Du Chang cultivated was also taught by Du Tingxian. If there wasn't Du Tingxian, there wouldn't be the Du Chang from back then. In fact, in the depths of Du Chang's heart, he was extremely grateful to his uncle Tingxian. When he saw Du Dingshuan's family being besieged by people of legalism and was unable to help, he felt guilty for over 10 years. However, back then, the devil religion suddenly attacked the Du residents. The king and Du Chang disappeared together, and were taken away by the devil religion. After that, the young man in front of him used a hood to conceal his true appearance. He used the identity of Mo Lingzi to walk the world and serve the devil religion. When facing his uncle Tingxian, he could mercilessly make a move and become enemies of life and death, disregarding the kindness of the past. What a good way to mend one's ways! Should I cripple my own cultivation first to show my sincerity? Mo Lingzi's ash-white eyes indifferently stared at Du Tingxian as he spoke. Although his tone was indifferent and calm, it wasn't hard to hear the strong sense of ridicule within. Du Chang! You! Du Tingxian raised his thunder dragon spear and glared. He couldn't wait to stab the young man in front of him to death. Back then, in the entire Du residence, Du Chang was the younger generation that he valued the most. He also did his best to help him. However, he didn't expect that the little fellow with outstanding talent back then would now stand on the opposite side of him and become a loyal lackey of the devil religion. He was his enemy, the Du family's enemy, and the entire tricontinent Kyushu's enemy. His identity as Mo Lingzi could be said to be the shame of the entire Du family. It was also a blasphemy to the Du family's ancestor who felt to suppress the demon god. Chapter 2643. Facing Du Tingshuan's mockery, Du Tingxian was furious. At the same time, he felt extremely pained. Second uncle, I think he's being controlled by someone. Du Yunlong walked to Du Dingshuan's side and said with a frown. Mo Lingzi's character was poles apart from Du Chang's back then. If it wasn't for the fact that his face didn't change much, making it impossible to deny his true identity, it would be impossible to connect him with that arrogant young man back then. I think so too. It should be the devil religion's method to control his primordial spirit. Du Shiyao's red-bone horse monkey body disappeared and turned into a golden-clothed young man. He walked to Du Dingshuan's side and said, no matter if it was Mo Lingzi's tone or his calm face that didn't reveal the slightest bit of emotion, it all seemed a little strange. It didn't seem like he was deliberately pretending. Since that was the case, there was only one possibility. After he was kidnapped back then, the devil religion laid down a method in his primordial spirit, turning him into a living puppet that could be ordered around as they wished. His primordial spirit is being controlled? Du Dingshuan's gaze moved slightly as he stared at Mo Lingzi. His mind was full of thoughts, and no one knew what he was thinking. Third uncle, no matter if his primordial spirit is being controlled or not, at least for now, he's still the devil religion's Mo Lingzi. If we can't kill or capture him, then it'll be a great disaster for all the living beings in our world. Du Yunlong didn't look at Du Tingxian, but seemed to know what he was thinking and said softly, I understand. Your third uncle isn't a 3-year-old kid. How can I not understand this? Du Tingxian sighed lightly and said, Don't worry, I know what's right and what's wrong. I won't mess up my sense of propriety because of some things in the past. Du Yunlong's words did not reveal the true meaning, but when they fell into Du Dingxuan's ears, how could he not understand? This nephew of his was merely worried that because of his relationship with Du Chang in the past, he would show mercy to the current Mo Lingzi, and couldn't bear to kill him. Now that the Great Tribulation had begun and the Fiend Celestial was about to recover, all living beings were in a precarious situation. They were fighting a bloody battle for survival. At this critical juncture, if he still indulged Mo Lingzi to wreak havoc on the world because of some personal feelings, then it wouldn't just be a matter of losing face because of Mo Lingzi's identity. He, Du Tingxian, and even the entire Du family, could be said to be the sinners of this world. Du Tingxian naturally understood this kind of simple logic in his heart. Although he hoped that Du Tingxian could let go of his identity as Mo Lingzi and stop being so obstinate, Du Tingxian wasn't a pedantic person. He knew that this kind of situation was impossible unless he could erase the means the devil religion had placed on his primordial spirit. Therefore, both sides would still be enemies, facing each other in life and death. What's there to be long-winded about? Let's fight! Opposite Du Tingxian, Du Xiaoyao, and Du Yunlong, Mo Lingzi straightened his body and stood upright in the void. The wounds on his face and the tip of his nose had already recovered a little under the wrapping of layers of devil qi. Blood was no longer flowing. The power of lightning left behind by Du Dingxuan's spear was also devoured by Mo Lingzi's lightning martial vein. Since you want to die early, how can I not fulfill your wish? Du Xiaoyao's golden clothes shook, and golden light surged. With a roar, his body transformed into the red-bone horse monkey's original form and occupied the void. Boundless and vast aura erupted from his body, sweeping through the 9 heavens and 10 earths. That golden light spread and permeated every inch of space. His eyes were extremely bright, and as they opened and closed, they were as dazzling as the rising and setting sun. Fight! Du Yunlong also moved, and the holy bell of laying desolation buzzed in the void. Under the effect of the lightning martial vein, lightning filled the sky and enveloped the entire holy bell of laying desolation, making it look as if it was bathing in a sea of lightning. 2 tyrannical auras intertwined with each other, and their might shook the heavens. That's fine too. Back then I was the one who brought you onto the path of cultivation. Today, everything will be taken back by me. It can be considered as a beginning and an end. Du Tingxian lightly sighed, and then his gaze slowly became firm. Du Tingxuan's path of cultivation had traces that he couldn't erase. If he wanted to take back all of these grudges, there could only be 2 results. First, Mo Lingzi's life would end. Second, he would be captured and no longer be under the control of the devil religion. Du Tingxian held the Thunder Dragon's spear and pointed it at Mo Lingzi. Even if the 3 of you join forces, I'm afraid it's still difficult to take my life. Seeing the 3 closing in step by step, Mo Lingzi coldly snorted and leaped up. Torrential devil qi enshrouded his body and quickly spread out. At the same time, the 2 divine lightning cauldrons also returned to his side and floated on both sides of Mo Lingzi. Purple gold lightning poured out, releasing a terrifying aura of destruction. Kill! Du Tingxian, Du Yunlong, Du Xiaoyao, and Mo Lingzi all shouted at the same time and pounced forward. The lightning martial vein was trembling, and thick bolts of lightning were like a shower as they rapidly whistled down, carrying a ferocious momentum that could destroy everything. The entire space trembled because of it. The difference in strength between the 4 of them was similar, but under the joint forces of the 3, Mo Lingzi could only deal with it in a panic and was in an extremely sorry state. However, he wasn't stupid. He didn't fight the 3 of them head-on, and constantly moved around in the void. At the same time, he also had the assistance of the lightning martial vein and the 2 divine lightning cauldrons. The combination of the 2 was even more terrifying. Even though Du Xiaoyao and the other 2 were suppressing Mo Lingzi and causing him to continuously suffer injuries, it was indeed difficult for them to do anything to him for the time being. Kill! Du Xiaoyao and the other 2 shouted, carrying an unparalleled killing intent as they closed in on Mo Lingzi step by step. The red-bone horse monkey's body moved across the sky, the desolation suppressing holy bell fiercely suppressed, and the thunder dragon's spear pierced through all obstacles. The bolts of lightning poured down like rain. Want to kill me? You guys think too highly of yourselves. Mo Lingzi held a divine lightning cauldron in each of his hands. In his fluster, he still managed to block the ferocious attacks. Mo Lingzi, so it's really Du Chang. In the surrounding battlefields, many experts also discovered the situation here, and Du Xiaofu was the same. Under the probing of the energy of his soul, everything that had occurred earlier had entered into his senses. Naturally, Mo Lingzi's true identity was also known by him. The bloodline of the Du family must not be controlled by the devil religion. Du Xiaofu snorted coldly, and a sword light slashed out from the purple-gold heavenly vault towards the 9-demon emperor's head. The two of them fought for a long time, and neither of them could do anything to the other. And under Du Xiaofu's method of exchanging injury for injury, risking life for life, both of them had suffered great injuries. The 9-demon emperor's demonic body was covered with wounds. The demonic armor that covered every inch of his body was also severely damaged, causing many parts of his body to be exposed, and he could no longer continue to condense them. Du Xiaofu was the same. The indestructible Xian body burst open, and purple-gold blood poured out. Even his face was incomparably pale, without any color. The 9-demon emperor was fiercely forced back by Du Xiaofu's sword. Then, under his gaze, Du Xiaofu's body flashed with golden light, and his figure disappeared. It's this move again. The 9-demon emperor was already used to such a scene. He knew that this was Du Xiaofu's spatial technique, which appeared and disappeared unpredictably. Many of the injuries on his body were due to this, and he was caught off guard by Du Xiaofu's sudden attack. Therefore, the moment he saw the golden light appear, the 9-demon emperor was prepared to deal with it. The power of his primordial spirit spread out, and he collected the surrounding movements at all times. As long as Du Xiaofu broke through space, he would be able to deal with it immediately to prevent a successful sneak attack. However, this time, the 9-demon emperor waited for a long time, but he did not see Du Xiaofu's figure. The attack that he had condensed in his hand was also nowhere to be released. Soon, the 9-demon emperor discovered that Du Xiaofu's figure had appeared in another place after using the first style of Fuyao. That was where Du Xiaoyao, Du Tingxian, and Du Yunlong were besieging Mo Lingzi. Du Xiaofu's figure appeared directly beside Mo Lingzi, and he struck out with his palm without any fluctuations. Du Xiaofu! The appearance of this purple-robed figure caused Mo Lingzi's grayish-white eyes to freeze instantly, and he seemed to be quite shocked. He knew that Du Xiaofu was already an expert at the Heavenly Saint realm now, and he wasn't someone he could deal with at all. The moment the other party attacked, the surrounding space instantly froze, leaving him no room to escape. Without thinking, Mo Lingzi struck out the two purple lightning profound cauldrons in his hands, and they smashed towards Du Xiaofu's chest fiercely. Using the purple lightning profound cauldrons to deal with me, Du Chang shouldn't be so stupid, Du Xiaofu said coldly as he used the law of lightning. When the terrifying purple-gold lightning reached Du Xiaofu's side, it automatically took a detour and blasted into nothingness. That palm that was suffused with purple-gold light directly passed through the seal of the two lightning profound cauldrons, and brazenly imprinted on Mo Lingzi's chest. Pff! A muffled sound rang out, and Mo Lingzi's body was sent flying with a single blow. After that, on the path he was sent flying, a huge black hole opened up and covered Mo Lingzi's body. A powerful suction force gushed out, pulling him towards the black hole at an even faster speed. Bursts of mysterious aura were emitted. That huge black hole seemed to be the door to some terrifying place, causing Mo Lingzi's heart to tremble for no reason. The remaining devil qi in his body erupted. Mo Lingzi wanted to break free, but no matter what he did, he was unable to break free from the control of the suction force. In the end, he could only be swallowed. Back then, the devil religion kidnapped Du Chang for the lightning martial vein, right? Seeing Mo Lingzi's figure disappear at the entrance of the ancient desolate space, Du Xiaofu slightly breathed a sigh of relief. In fact, he already knew that the reason why the devil religion kidnapped Du Chang, his master, and the rest was because these people had something to do with lightning. And these lightning came from the heavenly Tao that suppressed the demon god. When the heavenly Tao fell, it turned into 36 bolts of spiritual lightning. These 36 bolts of spiritual lightning represented the complete law of lightning. And the goal of the devil religion was nothing more than to borrow the lightning martial vein and 36 bolts of spiritual lightning to reform the complete law of lightning. After controlling Mo Lingzi and letting him fuse with the complete law of lightning, he would be able to surpass the Sky Sage realm. Then, in this world, even if the demon god didn't recover, the devil religion would still be able to sweep away all living things. Ancient desolate space, withdraw! Du Xiaofu didn't lament too much, because on the other side, when the 9 demon emperors saw that he had left him to deal with Mo Lingzi, he turned around and rushed toward his sister, Xiao Jing. However, just as he was about to withdraw the ancient desolate space and go forward to stop the 9 demon emperor, he was shocked to find that the ancient desolate space was abnormal, as if it was no longer under his control. Huff, huff, huff! In the void, the giant black hole of the ancient desolate space suddenly expanded rapidly, like the giant mouth of a demon god. It was getting bigger and bigger, as if it wanted to envelop the entire space. Waves of violent and mysterious aura fluctuated from the black hole, densely filling the space. Under such a violent aura, the entire space began to tremble violently, as if there was an invisible hand directly grasping the space and shaking it violently. In just an instant, everyone who was fighting, including the 8 demon emperors, Eastern Deity, Western Demon, Southern Ru, Northern Addict, Shintong, and other half-step heavenly sage realm experts like the Little Qilin, Jialo Juyu, and Yi Piaoling, all felt that they were stepping on empty air, and their bodies tilted and staggered, as if they were about to fall. The 9 demon emperor, who was rushing toward Du Xiaojing, also shook violently, and his legs almost gave out. The demon chi attack that had accumulated in his hand also collapsed in an instant, and it was crushed into nothingness by the invisible fluctuations in the space. Rumble! A huge tremor broke out, as if the earth was shaking and the mountains were shaking violently. The space was trembling, and everyone couldn't stabilize their bodies at this time. Like a small boat in a hurricane, they were being wantonly destroyed. Even Du Xiaofu was no exception. With his heavenly sage realm strength, he could only barely stabilize his body, and he couldn't take care of the others. Fortunately, the other heavenly sage realm demon emperors were also in the same situation. What's going on? Why is this happening? Some experts shouted in panic. This kind of situation where they could not control themselves was even more frightening than fighting with the devil cult. Rumble! The space was shaking violently, and it was trembling non-stop. In the entire area, everyone was extremely shocked, and they didn't know what was going on. Could it be related to the ancient desolate space? Du Xiaofu tried his best to stabilize his body, and his eyes narrowed slightly, and he couldn't help but guess. This was the only reason he could think of. Originally, there was nothing unusual. But after he summoned the ancient desolate space and kept Mo Lingzi in it, this situation occurred. Needless to say, the unforeseen event must be related to the ancient desolate space. At this moment, in the entire space, the only one who could remain as still as a mountain was the huge figure in the distance. This figure was the demonic god. At this time, in such an unforeseen event, the demonic god's eyes were still slightly closed, as if he wasn't affected at all, and he was recovering rapidly. Everyone, quickly gather together! Du Xiaofu ordered in a deep voice, and he shouted at Du Xiaoyao, Little Qilin, Jin Qingchen, and the rest. The current situation would definitely not last forever. However, Du Xiaofu could not predict what kind of changes would occur when everything calmed down again. Therefore, it was best to gather all the experts together, and deal with the changes by sticking to the status quo. Quickly gather together! Many experts shouted, and each of them stepped out with difficulty in the trembling space, as if it was as difficult as walking in a swamp. Before they could even take a few steps, they were all sweating profusely, and the energy in their bodies was quickly consumed, and they felt like they were about to collapse. However, at this moment, no one cared about such consumption. Only by gathering together could they feel a little more at ease. I wonder if the spatial technique will still work. Du Xiaofu's eyes moved, and without hesitation, he directly displayed the first style of rising wind, and disappeared from the spot. Then, he appeared next to Du Xiaoyao. Boss! Seeing Du Xiaofu suddenly appear, Du Xiaoyao shouted in surprise. Quickly gather with everyone, I have to settle some things first. Du Xiaofu was also very surprised. In such an unforeseen event in the space, he could still display the first style of rising wind smoothly, which made him very happy. Without thinking, Du Xiaofu picked up Du Xiaoyao's body, and with a few flashes of his body, he brought Du Yunlong, Du Tingxian, Du Xiaojing, Jialo Jiuyu, Jinqin Chen, Du Xiaolin, and the rest to one place. It didn't take too long for East Deity, West Demon, South Ru, North Addict, Central Divinity, and Lil Xingxing to be sent together. This kind of speed was much faster than the people who were struggling to move forward. After doing all this, Du Xiaofu's body flashed a few times, and he went next to the two godly thunder cauldrons left behind by Mo Lingzi. He stretched out his hands, one on the left and one on the right, and grabbed the two godly thunder cauldrons. Then, they turned into two purple gold lights and disappeared in his palms. Devil religion, it's time for you to pay the price. In the violent shaking, Du Xiaofu stumbled and almost fell. However, his eyes were shining brightly, and he looked at the figures of the devil religion in the distance, and he couldn't help but shoot out a cold killing intent. Swoosh! The first style of rising wind was activated again, and Du Xiaofu's body flashed again, and this time, he directly appeared next to Moksha. Tyrannical fist. Du Xiaofu shouted coldly, and punched out. Under Moksha's shocked gaze, the punch suddenly landed on his chest. A huge force burst out, and the force was crazily spurting out. Puff! A cloud of blood mist exploded in front of his eyes, and it was scattered by the shaking and distorted space in the blink of an eye. Moksha, who was half a step away from the heavenly saint realm, didn't even have time to react, and didn't have any effective defense at all. He was killed by Du Xiaofu in the void. The two godly thunder cauldrons also appeared, and they were taken away by Du Xiaofu. After killing Moksha with one punch, he didn't stop at all, and he looked at the 9-demon emperor again. Chapter 2644. Rumble. The giant mouth of the ancient desolation space grew bigger and bigger, and soon, it covered everyone. Moreover, the violent trembling became more and more intense, causing the entire space to distort. After Du Xiaofu glanced coldly at the half-step heavenly sage expert from the devil sect, he did not hesitate and performed the Fuyao first form again. In a flash of golden light, he appeared directly in front of the half-step heavenly sage expert. Du Xiaofu did not know the reason for the change in the ancient desolation space, and he could not investigate further. He could only let it continue to change. He had already collected 4 of the 9 purple lightning mysterious cauldrons. In addition to the one he obtained from killing a sage realm expert from the devil religion in the foggy space, he had a total of 5 purple lightning mysterious cauldrons. As for the other 4 purple lightning mysterious cauldrons, he did not know who had them. However, there was no doubt that the remaining 4 godly thunder cauldrons must be with the people from the devil religion. Now that such a huge change had occurred in this space, he might as well take advantage of this opportunity to kill all the half-step heavenly sage experts from the devil religion. Not only would he reduce the pressure on the experts from the tri-continent Kyushu region, but he would also have a chance to find the remaining godly thunder cauldrons. Du Xiaofu did not want to miss such a good opportunity. The 8 demon emperors were all in the heavenly sage realm, and it was impossible to kill them cleanly. Instead of wasting a lot of time on them, it was better to eliminate all the half-step heavenly sage experts from the devil religion. Du Xiaofu, how dare you! After killing Moksha with one punch, the 8 demon emperors came to their senses in the blink of an eye. They knew Du Xiaofu's purpose. At this time, when they saw him performing the space skill again and rushing toward a half-step heavenly sage expert from the devil religion, they could not help but shout. However, the violent tremors in space caused them to be unable to do anything but watch as Du Xiaofu's figure flashed, and then he appeared once more. After that, he smashed his fist forcefully against the chest of the half-step heavenly saint from the devil religion. Another bang sound rang out. Under that fierce and domineering fist energy, this expert was like Moksha, exploding into a cloud of blood mist. He didn't even have the chance to scream. However, this time, the purple lightning profound cauldron did not appear. Damn it! Damn it! The 8 demon emperors roared and roared, but they could do nothing to Du Xiaofu. All of them were affected by the spatial fluctuations, making it difficult for them to even pass through. Perhaps, when the experts of the 3 continents and Kyushu appeared before them, they would be able to easily kill them if they gathered their full strength. However, they didn't have the means like Du Xiaofu, who could ignore the obstruction of space and pass through it, appearing directly beside the opponent. They might have grasped part of the law of space, but not everyone could learn the rising sun style from the golden-winged great rocks. Quick, everyone, come close to me! The 2 demon emperors shouted, trying their best to pass through the distorted space. They moved toward the half-step heavenly saints from the devil religion, intending to stop Du Xiaofu. In fact, when Du Xiaofu had used his means to gather little Xingxing, Fu Yibai, and the others, the devil religion had already begun to make arrangements. Just like Du Xiaofu, they were planning to prevent an even greater change in the future. Who would have thought that Du Xiaofu would make use of the situation here to wipe out the forces of the devil religion? The demon emperors all moved, but their speed was extremely slow, as if they were moving against a torrential flood. After a breath's time, they had only crossed a distance of several feet. Go! Go quickly! Come close to the demon emperors! At the same time, the dozen half-step heavenly saints from the devil religion began to panic. It was true that Du Xiaofu and the rest had broken through in this space that was no longer suppressed. However, with Du Xiaofu's current strength, he could easily kill them. Now that such an unforeseen event had occurred, even if the opponent came close to them, they couldn't even put up an effective resistance, and could only be slaughtered. Rumble! The void was still trembling nonstop, like a small tree swaying in the midst of a violent storm. The half-step heavenly saints from the devil religion spread out, unleashing all their skills and exploding with their strongest state, rushing toward the demon emperors. Only by going to the side of the 8 demon emperors could they hope to survive. However, at this time, the 8 demon emperors were already having a hard time walking, let alone these half-step heavenly saints. It was as if they were struggling in a mud pit. What the fuck? Seeing Du Xiaofu's behavior, Du Xiaoyao, who was among the half-step heavenly saints from the desolate country, was speechless and said in a daze. Du Xiaofu's means were really not something that ordinary people could understand. Dad, good job! Little Xingxing's mouth curled into an evil smile, and little Qilin and Du Xiaohuang were even more jubilant. If it weren't for the fact that it was difficult to stand in the trembling space, they would have clapped their hands. 9 left! Du Xiaofu naturally noticed the movements of the 8 demon emperors, but he was not too anxious. Although the demon emperors in the heavenly saint realm were powerful, without the Fuyao style, they couldn't be faster than him. After all, even if he executed the God's Bane grasp at this moment, he was still unable to shake the space that was warping and trembling without end. The devil religion had a total of 12 half-step heavenly saints, and he had just killed one. In addition to Moksha and Mo Lingzi, who was kept in the desolate ancient space, there were 9 half-step heavenly saints left. Du Xiaofu didn't intend to let any of these 9 go. Kill! Du Xiaofu's figure disappeared in a flash, and then he appeared in front of the next half-step heavenly saint. It was still a simple punch, but it contained the strength to split mountains. With a brazen move, it blasted the half-step heavenly saint of the devil religion into pieces. Du Xiaofu, I'll never let you go, and I'll make sure you die a horrible death! The second demon emperor and the 4th demon emperor roared crazily, and their eyes were almost spitting fire. The great demon emperor wasn't any better. His originally pale face showed a bit of blackness at this time. Those half-step heavenly saint realm experts of the devil religion were the pinnacle of strength, and they played a great role in the massacre in the Kyushu realm of the 3 continents. At this time, seeing them die miserably in the hands of Du Xiaofu, how could the 8 demon emperors not be angry? You're still talking nonsense at this time. According to my estimation, your brains must have been squeezed by a door. In the distance, Du Xiaoyao curled his lips and said disdainfully in the face of the angry roars of the demon emperors. Golden light burst out from his body, and it was as dazzling as the scorching sun. I think their brains must have been kicked by a donkey. Little Xingxing continued and said coldly. Seeing Du Xiaofu kill the half-step heavenly saint of the devil religion one by one, they were very happy. Next, after Du Xiaofu killed the half-step heavenly saint of the devil religion, he didn't find the divine thunder cauldron again, and he couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. However, when he looked at the rest of the half-step heavenly saint of the devil religion, the disappointment was replaced by a fierce look in his eyes. Kill! Du Xiaofu shouted, and he disappeared again and reappeared next to the half-step heavenly saint of the devil religion. Then, in front of the half-step heavenly saint of the half-step heavenly saint of the devil religion, he killed them with a punch. After a few times, including Moksha, 5 half-step heavenly saint of the 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 devil religion. After this, Du Xiaofu was pleasantly surprised to see the appearance of the 6th purple lightning profound cauldron. The remaining 6 half-step heavenly saints of the devil religion and 3 divine thunder cauldrons should be with these half-step heavenly saints. Du Xiaofu put away the divine thunder cauldron without hesitation, and his eyes swept across the remaining 6 half-step heavenly saint of the half-step heavenly saint of the half-step heavenly saint of the devil religion. The 5 divine thunder cauldrons were obtained from the half-step heavenly saint of the devil religion, and not from the half-step heavenly saint of the half-step heavenly saint of the half-step heavenly saint of the devil religion. Du Xiaofu deduced that the half-step heavenly saint of 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 the devil religion. Du Xiaofu! Seeing their experts dying one after another in Du Xiaofu's hands, the few demon emperors roared furiously and exerted their full strength to cross the shaking space. If you fall into the hands of my devil religion, then I'll surely make living worse than death for you. I'll make you suffer the infernal hell refinement of the soul and the myriad of ghosts devouring your body. The 4 demon emperors roared. A blood-red sickle slashed at the trembling void. However, it was like a blunt knife chopping at a tree stump. It couldn't cut through it at all. Du Xiaofu did not pay too much attention to the angry shouts of the demon emperors. His figure flickered a few times, and a series of muffled sounds could be heard. The remaining 5 half-step heavenly saints of the demonic sect were finally annihilated. All of them died a violent death. Du Xiaofu! The few demon emperors gritted their teeth, and wished they could eat his flesh and drink his blood to appease the hatred in their hearts. However, right now, they were all trapped in this strange chaos. They couldn't even take care of themselves, so there was no way they could deal with Du Xiaofu. Good job, big brother! Among the 5 heavenly saints, East Deity, West Demon, South Ru, North Addict, and Central Divinity, Fui Bai, whose hair was as messy as a chicken's nest, couldn't help but shout in surprise. Hee, the devil religion is so arrogant. Finally, it suffered a big loss. Jinqin-chun, the sacred array boy, said with a smile. After a long period of cultivation in this space, everyone had made breakthroughs. The devil religion gave birth to a total of 12 half-step heavenly saints. However, at this time, only Mo Lingzi was still alive. He had been taken into the desolate ancient space by Du Xiaofu. The remaining 11 people had all been killed by the purple-robed young man. Such a scene caused everyone who was still in this space to feel extremely carefree. Many people have died before. This time, I've avenged them a little. Du Xiaojing suddenly said with sadness, a touch of sadness flashing in her bright eyes. Earlier, a few devil emperors had joined the battle, and at least 200 Saint Realm experts had perished during the chaotic battle. Among them were Mu Qingge, Feng Wuxie, Lai Diao, Zhong Yuan, Ren Yuan, Yao Tianwu, Jian Yiting, Hong Wei, Ji Tsang, Di Lang, and many other familiar faces. The scene of Du Xiaofu killing the half-step heavenly saints of the devil religion was so similar to the scene of those people being slaughtered by the demon emperors. Juekong is also dead. Jialo Jueyu's handsome face was filled with grief. Jialo Juekong was his brother, an existence second only to him in terms of talent among his peers in the Golden-Winged Rock clan. However, he had fallen here, and his heroic spirit had disappeared. If the devil religion is not eliminated, this world will never have peace. Affected by everyone's emotions, Du Xiaofu couldn't help but feel sad. Closing his eyes, familiar faces flashed in his mind, and he couldn't help but clench his fists. Who? After a long while, Du Xiaofu's gaze flashed and looked at the huge figure in the distance. On the body of the demon god, the originally restrained aura was now emitting a vast aura, crazily rising. The scene of a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood that surrounded his body tightly protected him within it, and it emitted an extremely terrifying aura that caused Du Xiaofu's heart to tremble for no reason when he glanced at it. It was almost impossible to use the time when he recovered to stop the demon god's continuous improvement. That terrifying scene could obliterate everything. As long as Du Xiaofu went forward, he would be injured. It wouldn't be long before the demon god would be able to fully recover. At that time, it would be a truly difficult situation. Divine Thunder Cauldrons! Du Xiaofu withdrew his gaze and reached out to take the 3 Divine Thunder Cauldrons in front of him. When he killed the last 5 half-step heavenly saints of the devil religion, 3 Divine Thunder Cauldrons had appeared. In this way, all 9 Divine Thunder Cauldrons had been gathered. If the 9 cauldrons weren't gathered, the 9 families wouldn't appear. If the 9 cauldrons were gathered, the 9 families would be commanded. In the outside world, the 9 families, such as legalism, school of famous scholars, school of vertical and horizontal, and Buddhism, which had always been ambiguous, wouldn't dare to cause any trouble in front of the 9 Divine Thunder Cauldrons. Regardless of whether they were willing or not, they wouldn't dare to openly disobey the instructions left behind by the Lord of the 3,000 Great Worlds. Demon Emperor! Du Xiaofu kept the purple lightning cauldron, and then his eyes suddenly shrank as he looked at the 8 demon emperors. He was thinking if he should continue to fight and kill a few more demon emperors. If he could kill them, then the pressure he, Fu Yibai, Little Xingxing, and the rest would be reduced by a lot. Du Xiaofu, Lord Demon God is recovering. The moment he wakes up will be the moment you die. The 2nd demon emperor shouted. He, the great demon emperor, the 4th demon emperor, and the 7th demon emperor had already gathered together with great difficulty. They were on high alert, in case Du Xiaofu attacked them. The 5th demon emperor, the 6th demon emperor, the 8th demon emperor, and the 9th demon emperor were still scattered in the shaking space. At this time, you still don't know how to restrain yourselves. I don't know if you are stupid. Du Xiaofu snorted coldly. He used the Fuyao style again, and appeared directly beside the 9th demon emperor. Way of the tyrannical fist! Du Xiaofu shouted coldly and punched out. In the shaking space, the rumbling sound became even more intense. Facing such a punch, the 9th demon emperor's pupils shrank. The chi in his body crazily condensed, and the heavenly demon blood armor on his body released a dazzling scarlet light. At the same time, the 9th demon emperor waved his fists rapidly. When Du Xiaofu's fierce and overbearing punch landed on the 9th demon emperor's chest, a terrible dent appeared on his armor. However, it did not explode. His body was blown back directly. In the distorted space at this time, he was forced to retreat for a distance of 10 meters. That pair of demonic fists hit empty air, because after Du Xiaofu's attack succeeded, his figure disappeared again. The 9th demon emperor covered his chest and retreated. Due to the distortion of space, the power of Du Xiaofu's attack was greatly reduced. Therefore, the 9th demon emperor's armor was not even broken. However, That fierce and overbearing punch still made the ninth demon emperor's body tremble, and his chest feel stuffy. Way of the overbearing fist! Almost in the next moment, a cold shout came from behind the ninth demon emperor again. The ninth demon emperor's eyes narrowed. He sensed the dangerous aura, but he did not have time to react. Layers of demon chi surged out from his body and condensed on his back. Boom! The punch landed on the ninth demon emperor's back. The ninth demon emperor's body caved in again. His body was blown back again, and he fell forward. Similarly, this time, Du Xiaofu's attack did not break the ninth demon emperor's defense. A demon emperor of the heavenly saint stage is really difficult to kill. Du Xiaofu thought to himself as he looked at the ninth demon emperor. Due to the distortion of space, at least 30% of the power of his punch was destroyed by the void. If he wanted to break the ninth demon emperor's heavenly demon blood armor, such power was still not enough. However, it was also because of this that the ninth demon emperor could not even launch an effective counterattack. If they were in a normal space, even if he had the help of the Fuyao style, he would not be able to dodge the ninth demon emperor's attack. He could only exchange blows with the ninth demon emperor. If I can't kill you once or twice, I'll just have to do it a few more times. Du Xiaofu clenched his fists. A fierce aura filled the air. His figure disappeared again and reappeared next to the ninth demon emperor. Overbearing fists! Overbearing fists! Overbearing fists! Du Xiaofu let out a series of deep shouts. When every shout fell, it would be accompanied by a muffled bang. Following that, the ninth demon emperor's body was smashed by Du Xiaofu's fierce fists again and again. Du Xiaofu, if you have the guts, let's fight face to face. What's the use of sneak attacks? Pfft. The ninth demon emperor shouted angrily. However, before he could finish his sentence, he spat out a mouthful of blood. The next moment, he let out a painful scream from his throat. Under Du Xiaofu's attacks, the ninth demon emperor's body finally suffered a great shock. His qi and blood were in turmoil, and a stream of blood rushed to his throat. He could not move up or down, and it was an indescribable discomfort. His eyes were burning with anger. If it were not for the strange changes in this space, he would not be in such a miserable state. Humph, the words fight face to face come out of the mouth of a member of the devil religion. Aren't you afraid of being ridiculed? Du Xiaofu did not care about the ninth demon emperor's roar. With the special characteristics of this space, even if he could not kill the ninth demon emperor, he could at least trample on him. After letting out a cold snort, he once again used the same trick. Overbearing fists! Overbearing fists! Overbearing fists! The purple-robed figure disappeared again and reappeared next to the ninth demon emperor. He shouted again and punched the ninth demon emperor fiercely. He wanted to torture the ninth demon emperor until he was covered with bruises. Chapter 2645. Du Xiaofu, when the Lord Demon God wakes up, I will make sure you die a horrible death. In the distance, the second demon emperor, fourth demon emperor, and fifth demon emperor roared as they watched the ninth demon emperor being brutally tortured by Du Xiaofu. They tried their best to gather together in the trembling space, hoping to lend a helping hand to the ninth demon emperor. However, every time they approached, Du Xiaofu would throw a punch and send the 9 demon emperors flying a little further away. The remaining 7 demon emperors could clearly see that Du Xiaofu and Yi Shiwen were dozens of feet away from them. Normally, they would be able to reach out and touch the two of them. However, at this moment, they could only watch helplessly. Moreover, the purple-robed youth seemed to be doing this intentionally. He just had to torture the 9 demon emperor right in front of their eyes. One moment you want me to beg for death, and the next moment, you want me to die a horrible death. Don't tell me that you can say whatever you want about my Du Xiaofu's life with your mouths? Du Xiaofu snorted coldly, but he did not show any mercy. Pff. Punch after punch, the 9 demon emperor was smashed until he kept vomiting blood. There was almost no flat spot on his body. If it was not for the protection of the heavenly demon blood armor, even if he had the cultivation of a heavenly saint, he would have been smashed into pieces by Du Xiaofu. He would have died a horrible death. "Boss, well done! Dad beat him to death!" Du Xiaoyao, Little Xingxing, Du Xiaohuang, and the others were excited when they saw this scene. The angrier the other demon emperors were, the more excited they were. They clenched their fists and stood in the distance, cheering for Du Xiaofu. "You only know how to talk about the Lord Demon God all day long. If it weren't for the Demon God, you wouldn't even be a fart. In the ancient times, you would have been crushed into pieces by the Lord of the 3,000 sectors and the Dragon God." Fu Bai also snorted. Du Xiaofu was still attacking and tormenting the 9 demon emperor. During this process, the desolate ancient space that was expanding in the void continued to expand. The huge black hole, like a demon emperor, it directly enveloped the entire desolate ancient space. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Following this change, the desolate ancient space. In the end, Du Xiaofu, even Du demon emperors floating, and had encountered was in the desolate ancient space. Everyone could no longer stand steadily, and their bodies began to sway uncontrollably. As soon as the energy of a group of heavenly saint realm cultivators rushed out of their bodies, it would be instantly swallowed up. It would not be of any use at all. What is going on? The 5 experts, East Deity, West Demon, South Scholar, North Addict, and Central Divinity, were all shocked. They had no idea what this change meant. Du Tingxian, Du Xiaoyao, Du Xiaojing, Du Yunlong, Yi Piaoling, Jialo Juyu, and the others held hands and stood together to prevent themselves from being separated from the desolate ancient space. It should be related to the desolate ancient space. Du Xiaofu no longer attacked the 9 demon emperors. He used the Fuyao style several times in a row. Then, he returned to the formation of the others, and joined them. When he came to this desolate ancient space, the demon god took away Tianwu Academy's Qianquan bag from him, and unlocked the seal. And just when he unleashed the ancient desolate space and sucked Mo Lingzi into it, it brought about such a huge change. One had to know that the Qianquan bag and the desolate ancient space originally belonged to Tianwu Academy. Du Xiaofu would never believe that there was no connection between the two. According to Du Xiaofu's conjecture, the soul in the Qianquan bag should be related to the founder of Tianwu Academy. As for the desolate ancient space, it probably had a great origin and was related to the founder of Tianwu Academy. However, he did not know what kind of connection this desolate ancient space had with Tianwu Academy or the legendary founder of Tianwu Academy. Rumble! The heavens and earth shook violently, causing the entire desolate ancient space to tremble violently. This scene was like a huge earthquake in the outside world. Due to the distortion of the desolate ancient space, the scene in front of them became illusory and blurry. Even the faces of the people around them were distorted. The formless desolate ancient space formed a destructive storm that swept out in all directions. Du Tingxian, Du Xiaoyao, Jin Qingchen, and the others all felt a huge tearing force on their bodies, causing them to feel as though their bodies could not withstand it. Fortunately, these people were not weak now. At the very least, they all had the strength of a half-step heavenly saint. Even people like Jin Qingchen, who were not too strong in terms of physical cultivation, could resist it without too much difficulty when the power in their bodies was circulating. Lord Demon God! In the distance, the 8 great demon emperors had finally gathered in one place after continuous efforts. Their eyes were filled with shock. Their gazes were focused on Pang Wei's figure in the distance. At this moment, the demon god's body was still standing like a mountain, unmoving. Even when the boundless desolate ancient space storm swept past, it was unable to shake his body in the slightest. Rumble, ka ka ka! Suddenly, amidst the endless violent tremors, the sound of silk cracking could be heard. It also sounded like an eggshell was cracking. The cracking sound grew louder and louder until it became a cacophony. Ka 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 ka! As the sound continued to ring out, everyone saw that the originally empty and dark space suddenly began to flash with light. Up, down, left, right, front, and back, it was the same. The light seemed to have shot from the sky and pierced through the desolate ancient space barrier. It looked like everyone was in a huge egg, and when the eggshell cracked, the light finally shone in. The desolate ancient space is collapsing. A serious expression crept onto Fui Bai's unkempt face. Suppressive force. I can feel the suppressive force again. Du Xiaoyao also spoke, his handsome brows furrowed. Actually, there was no need for him to say anything. Everyone felt it at practically the same time. When those rays of light shot over, there was an extremely strong suppressive force that fiercely suppressed them, and it added to their physical bodies and origin spirits. When they first entered the desolate ancient space, they were all delighted to find that the suppressive force that was originally everywhere in the outside world had suddenly disappeared. Everyone's cultivation was faintly rising. Moreover, as they cultivated for a long time, one by one, they continued to break through with irresistible force, creating many heavenly saints and half-step heavenly saints. Such a situation was simply unimaginable in the outside world. As for the demon god's purpose in coming here, they quickly understood. It was nothing more than wanting to use the uniqueness of the desolate ancient space to recover his extremely powerful cultivation. Then, even if he went to the outside world, even if he was suppressed again, he would still have the ultimate strength that the outside world could achieve. In this way, in this world, no one would be a match for him. Is this desolate ancient space going to be exposed to the outside world? Du Xiaofu muttered as he looked around the desolate ancient space. The bright rays of light expanded rapidly, tearing apart all the darkness and illuminating everything in the desolate ancient space. As such changes continued to occur, waves of familiar auras entered everyone's senses. This familiar aura was exactly the same as the desolate ancient space that they lived in. At the same time, the suppressive force that everyone felt became more and more majestic and vast. Everyone's cultivation was quickly suppressed. In just a short while, their original strength was directly reduced by a few points. They all tried their best to resist, but the suppressive force that carried the terrifying heavenly might was simply not something that a human could resist. They could only allow their strength to slowly regress. This was the invisible rule of this world. As long as one was in this desolate ancient space, they would be restricted and bound by it. Rumble! As if the mountains were shaking and the earth was trembling, a vast sound resounded in the desolate ancient space. Ka ka ka! At the extreme end of the desolate ancient space, long and narrow cracks appeared in all directions, and strong rays of light shot in. It was as if a pair of large hands were fiercely tearing the desolate ancient space apart. In the left half of Du Xiaofu's desolate ancient space, the rays of light that shot in were silver-white and dazzling. They were like bolts of lightning. In the right half of the desolate ancient space, the rays of light were like bloody lights. They were scarlet and strange, and were extremely similar to the aura of the people of the devil religion. Two diametrically opposite auras filled the desolate ancient space. One was vast and majestic, fierce and domineering, while the other was bloody and evil. The demonic god's aura is so terrifying! Suddenly, Du Xiaohuang said. Everyone looked up when they heard this. They saw that the figure that stood like a giant mountain was fluctuating with boundless demonic aura, like a boiling sea of blood. In the midst of the bloody fluctuations, it was linked with the bloody rays of light that shot in from the right half of the desolate ancient space. There seemed to be some kind of mysterious connection between them. Looking at the demonic god's huge body, everyone, including Du Xiaofu, was extremely shocked. That sinister and treacherous aura made one's heart tremble for no reason. Even with Du Xiaofu and Little Xingxing's heavenly saint cultivation, they couldn't avoid this powerful throbbing feeling. Boom, 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 ka, 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 ka. In the desolate ancient space, violent tremors and cracking sounds could be heard continuously. The desolate ancient space had already disappeared, and the huge black hole could no longer be seen. However, in the unseen world, Du Xiaofu felt that the connection between him and the desolate ancient space was still there. It was just that he couldn't control it at the moment. It's going to break! This desolate ancient space is going to be destroyed! Fui Bai suddenly shouted. His messy hair that was like a chicken's nest was about to explode. Every strand of his hair stood on end. Looking at the cracks in the desolate ancient space that were constantly expanding, he was extremely frightened. It was as if he had sensed something terrifying. Quick, half-step heavenly saints inside, heavenly saints outside, form a defense! East deity, West demon, Nanru, and Beiqi also shouted and moved instantly. Together with Du Xiaofu, Little Xingxing, and Fui Bai, they surrounded Du Tingxian, Du Xiaojing, Du Xiaoyao, Jialo Jiuyu, and the others. The auras of the 7 heavenly saints all burst out and intertwined with each other to form a dense light shield, protecting themselves and the half-step heavenly saints inside. On the other side, the 8 demon emperors did not hesitate. Just like Du Xiaofu and the others, their demon chi burst out and formed a black light cocoon, tightly wrapping the 8 of them. Boom, 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 boom! Just as everyone was about to form a defense, a series of explosions shook the area. The surrounding desolate ancient space seemed to have received a huge attack and exploded everywhere. The terrifying explosions were extremely frightening. Vast energy waves swept across the desolate ancient space, destroying everything in its path. Endless energy storms wreaked havoc and swept out, causing everyone's bodies to be sent flying in all directions. Fortunately, they'd all gathered together at this moment, and their auras were intertwined with each other. Otherwise, they'd probably be directly blasted flying in all directions amidst this chaotic flow of energy. On the other hand, Jinqin Chun and the other half-step Heavenly Saint Realm experts might even be annihilated by this spatial energy storm. If it were not for the protection of the few Heavenly Saints, it would have been very difficult for the rest of them to survive. Even so, Du Xiaofu's group and the 8 Great Demon Emperors' group were still sent flying. They were like 2 small shrimps in a stormy sea, and they were unable to control themselves as they moved along with the waves. Boom! Not long after, a terrifying explosion reverberated through the desolate ancient space. Under this loud explosion, the entire desolate ancient space was like an egg that had been ruthlessly smashed onto the ground. It exploded into pieces. The ferocious impact of the violent energy sent everyone's bodies flying. The tight protective light shield that the Heavenly Saint powerhouses had set up with their combined strength finally collapsed, and one figure after another was sent flying in all directions. However, it was a good thing that the violent impact didn't spread too far. After everyone was sent flying, they quickly stabilized their bodies and stood in the air. The desolate ancient space has been destroyed! Du Xiaofu, Fui Bai, Du Tingxian, Jialo Jiuyu, and the others quickly gathered together again. Their faces were pale, and the fear in their hearts had not dissipated. Not far from them, the 8 demon emperors of the devil religion were also in a similar state. We are now in the outside world. Du Xiaofu raised his eyes and looked around. He realized that they were now in the outside world. In other words, they were in the Kyushu realm of the 3 continents. With the power of his primordial spirit, he realized that they were no longer in the demon realm. They were in the land of Kyushu. The suppression of this desolate ancient space is too terrifying. I feel like I'm about to be beaten back to my original form, Jinqin Chun said in his heart. The chi in his body circulated endlessly. He could feel the terrifying heaven and earth energy suppressing him, causing his half-step Heavenly Saint stage cultivation to show signs of regressing. In fact, it was almost suppressed back to the level of a perfected saint stage cultivator. How could he not tremble in fear in such a situation? It was not only Jinqin Chun. Everyone had the same feeling. Under the suppression of the desolate ancient space, their strength had regressed by quite a bit. Even Du Xiaofu and Little Xingxing were no exception. However, after the energy in their bodies circulated, they finally withstood the suppression and stabilized their cultivation at the Heavenly Saint realm. The desolate ancient space. Du Xiaofu released the power of his primordial spirit. Following the faint connection between him and the desolate ancient space, he looked into the distance and finally found the location of the desolate ancient space. Return! With a thought, Du Xiaofu controlled the desolate ancient space and returned it to his body. Eh? What's this? Suddenly, Du Xiaofu exclaimed in surprise. In his senses, he discovered a strange movement in the desolate ancient space. When the power of his primordial spirit entered, he saw something that was beyond his imagination. In the desolate ancient space, other than Mo Lingzi, who was kept by him, there was another figure lying in there. This figure was wrapped in a hazy light, causing others to be unable to see its true appearance. It was motionless, as if it was in a deep sleep. This is the owner of the divine soul in the cosmos sack. Du Xiaofu felt waves of divine soul from this figure. It was extremely familiar. It was exactly the same as the divine soul in Tianwu Academy's cosmos sack. Needless to say, this person was most likely the original owner of the cosmos sack. He might even be the dean who founded Tianwu Academy. What's the relationship between the desolate ancient space and this person? Why would he appear in the desolate ancient space after the desolate ancient space disappeared? There were countless questions in Du Xiaofu's heart. However, this person seemed to be in a deep sleep. Du Xiaofu tried to wake him up, but he couldn't. Thus, he decided to ask him face to face and solve the doubts in his heart. The disappearance of the desolate ancient space meant that the demonic god must have awakened. He didn't have the mood to ask about this and could only leave it at that for now. The war has already begun in the outside world. When Du Xiaofu and the others appeared in the outside world, they were shocked to discover that the entire Kyushu domain was filled with scenes of lifeforms slaughtering one another. In the 3 continents, 9 continents, and 9 continents, mountains and rivers were breaking apart, rivers were drying up, space was exploding, and the earth was quaking violently. Countless lifeforms were roaring, and their weapons were boiling hot. They clashed with the devil religion. Terrifying attacks were unleashed one after another, causing the entire world to tremble. In everyone's perception, there were living beings constantly falling from the sky. Their blood dyed the sky red. Heaven and earth were trembling, and space was being destroyed. Mountains and earth were shaking, and cries of agony could be heard everywhere. Keek keek! Lord Demonic God has already awakened. The slaughter has truly begun. None of the life forms in this world can escape death. Not far away from Du Xiaofu's group, the 8 demon emperors were laughing heartily. They could sense that the Lord Demonic God had already awakened and returned to his peak state. In that case, no one in this world would be a match for him. Not even Du Xiaofu would be a match for him. All life forms would face death, and this world would turn into a demonic domain. Chapter 2646. The slaughter has begun. Hee hee! The second demon emperor laughed sinisterly. Then, he leaped into the air and charged toward the crowd that was fighting in the distance. Let's kill, hee hee! The other demon emperors laughed sinisterly as well. Their eyes shone with a bloodthirsty light. They did not think at all. Instead, they moved quickly, wanting to join the battle and start a brutal massacre. 8 demon emperors, your opponents are here! Seeing the movements of the 8 demon emperors, East Deity, West Demon, Nanru, North Addict, Zhong Shitong, and Little Xingxing, the 6 heavenly saint stage powerhouses, instantly dashed out and stopped the 8 demon emperors. After the strange space that was not suppressed exploded, the cultivation of the 8 demon emperors stabilized at the heavenly saint stage. If they were allowed to charge into the battlefield, it would be a one-sided massacre for the living beings in this world. In such a situation, it was impossible for them to watch it happen. How can the 6 of you stop the 8 of us? Hee hee hee! The 4th demon emperor glanced at Du Xiaofu in the distance. When he saw that Du Xiaofu had no intention of interfering, he could not help but laugh coldly. He held the blood-red scythe in his hand and fought with Little Xingxing. The Great Demon Emperor, 2nd Demon Emperor, 5th Demon Emperor, 7th Demon Emperor, and 9th Demon Emperor were held back by Fui Bai's group of 5. The remaining 6 Demon Emperors and 8 Demon Emperors continued to flee rapidly into the distance, and they instantly engaged in battle. You forgot that we are here too! Du Tingxian, Du Xiaoyao, Du Yunlong, Jialo Juyu, and the other half-step heavenly saint stage powerhouses dashed out one by one, trying to stop the 6 demon emperors and 8 demon emperors. 14 half-step heavenly saints, all of whom are related to the desolate country. Not bad, I'll kill you first. Du Xiaofu will definitely go crazy from the heartache. Hee hee hee. The 8 demon emperor laughed sinisterly as he watched Ji Piaoling and Jin Qingchen approach. Instead, he stopped with the 6 demon emperors and waited for them to approach. 7 demon emperors and 8 demon emperors, are you confident? Du Xiaoyao asked solemnly. We won't know whether we can defeat them until we fight them. No matter what, we can't allow those demon emperors to slaughter us at will. Jialo Jiuyu's body erupted with golden light, and the true form of the golden rock appeared. Kill! Yi Piaoling did not waste any time. He immediately attacked the 8 demon emperors. We don't need to defeat them. We just need to hold them back. Du Tingxian, Du Xiaolin, Du Xiaohuang, and the others shot towards the 6 devil emperors. Between the two sides, the curtains to a fierce battle instantly opened. The strength of any demon emperor was enough to crush all living beings in this world. If they were allowed to rush into the battlefield outside, it would be no different from a great disaster. At this moment, 7 half-step heavenly saints were fighting against 1 demon emperor. Everyone felt a huge pressure. However, none of the people present flinched. Even if they were facing a Sky Saint powerhouse, they still had to fight. Demon God! Not far away from the crowd, Du Xiaofu's eyes were clear as he looked into the infinite distance. It was as if he could see through the boundless void, through the endless mountains and space. He could feel a vast and boundless aura in the distance. It was as majestic as a mountain, as vast as the sea, and it filled every inch of space. However, the feeling that this kind of aura gave people was not the kind of reverence that one would feel when looking up at a tall mountain, but the kind of fear that one would feel when facing a peerless evil lord. Du Xiaofu knew that this aura belonged to the demon god. In his eyes there was a vast expanse of dense devil chi in the distance, and it had condensed into an extremely tall figure that stood towering there. In the void, as if it had felt Du Xiaofu's prying, there seemed to be a soft hum that was faintly discernible. Following this soft hum, waves of terrifying aura spread out in the air. It quickly broke through the endless distance, causing the mountains to explode and the rivers to flow. The majestic energy was like a raging sea. With a loud roar, it directly crashed into Du Xiaofu's body. Dang dang! Under the impact of this invisible force, Du Xiaofu's figure was suddenly pushed back. He took a series of steps in the void. Every step he took caused a terrifying collapse in the void. Qi! After retreating hundreds of thousands of li, Du Xiaofu finally stopped himself. A muffled groan came from his throat, and the blood and qi in his body surged. Although he was not injured, he was still shaken up quite a bit. Even from such a great distance, the impact of the demon god's will was actually so terrifying. According to Du Xiaofu's feeling, the gap between him and the demon god was like a chasm between heaven and earth. Has he reached the limit of strength in this world? Could it be that he has already surpassed the saint realm? Du Xiaofu's eyes trembled fiercely, and he could not help but feel fear in his heart. He was already in the Sky Saint realm, but when he came into contact with the demon god, it was as if there was a great gap between them. He seemed so vulnerable. Suppressing the shock in his heart, Du Xiaofu calmed his emotions. His figure shook in the air, and he stood among the clouds in the 9 heavens. The powerful scarlet horse monkey's primordial spirit spread out, and the entire scene in the 3 continents, and Kyushu was seen by him. Above the vault of heaven, the originally blue sky was no longer there. The clouds that filled the sky had become 2 colors, one bright and one dark red. They were separated in the middle. One side was a sea of lightning, the other was a red cloud. They each occupied half of the sky. Between the two, an incomparably terrifying aura erupted. Vast energy roared and surged, colliding with each other. The sea of lightning was boiling, and the red cloud was shaking. The friction and collision set off a destructive storm that swept through the heavens and earth, destroying everything. It was like the end of the world. With my blood, strengthen my Kyushu! Eliminate the devil religion, slay the gods and subdue the devils! Kill! Countless living beings roared and charged, clashing with the devil religion. The terrifying divine abilities descended like a tsunami, and the heavens and earth shook. In the terrifying battle, indomitable figures collapsed with a bang, falling from the sky into the ruins of the mountain stream, into the dilapidated forest, and piled up into mountains. On the ground, there was no longer the scene of vitality in the past. The forests that were full of vitality, and the majestic buildings were all turned into ashes in the terrifying collision. The broken walls and ruins were soaked in scarlet blood. The long river had long dried up, and boiling blood flowed in the riverbed. The scarlet blood waves set off boundless tides, and the smell of blood was dense in the air, making people want to vomit. The battlefields and killings appeared in Du Xiaofu's eyes at this moment. Every moment, powerful living beings were dying, and their hot blood was spilling. As the sea of blood on the ground churned, a strange energy fluctuation spread out, vast and mighty in the sky. The boundless red cloud that collided with the sea of lightning became darker and darker as the battle continued, and its momentum became more and more vast, beginning to force the sea of lightning on the opposite side to retreat. Kikik, the taste of blood! Kill! Kikik! Countless people from the devil religion laughed sinisterly under such a scene. As the boundless sea of blood boiled, endless mysterious power was rapidly released, blessing every person from the devil religion, causing their strength to become more and more powerful. The living beings of the 3 continents and Kyushu were like the sea of lightning high in the sky, constantly being forced to retreat. Looking at all of this, Du Xiaofu's heart could not calm down. The roars and screams of agony from the various battlefields pierced his heart fiercely. Originally, in the unsuppressed space, hundreds of people from the 3 continents and Kyushu had broken through and reached extremely powerful strength. Although no less than 200 people had died in the hands of the demon emperors, there were still at least 300 to 400 people who had survived. After coming to the outside world, they entered the battlefield at this time. On the other hand, except for the demon god and the 8 demon emperors, the rest of the people from the devil religion were killed one by Du Xiaofu. In this way, the overall strength of the devil religion and the living beings of this world were extremely disparate. However, in the outside world, as the killing progressed, the strength of everyone from the devil religion began to increase explosively, as if it was even more terrifying than in the suppressed space. Although the living beings of this world would not be defeated in a short period of time, under the suppression of the devil religion, there were some signs of defeat. The demon god, the devil religion, their purpose of killing is to increase their strength, isn't it? Du Xiaofu murmured with indescribable shock and grief. In the primordial era, the demon god fled to this world after being killed by the lord of the 3,000 sectors and the dragon god. It was not only because of the uniqueness of this world, but also because everyone who entered this world would be suppressed, thus escaping the pursuit. More importantly, they could wantonly start a bloody massacre here, transform into killing, sublimate in the mountains of corpses, and break through to a higher realm under the corrosion of the boundless sea of blood. In the primordial era, the great calamities of the dragons, the phoenixes, and the Kirins were all caused by the intention of the devil religion. Now all of this was like the primordial era reappearing. If the devil religion was allowed to continue killing, their overall strength would increase to an extremely terrifying level. There was no need for the demon god to attack again, and all the living beings of this world would be slaughtered, turning the whole world into a vast devil's domain. Eliminate the devil religion, kill the demon god. Step on the edge, drink blood, and fight to the end. Kill. Countless living beings charged and roared fiercely, allowing the people of the devil religion to stab their own chests with their weapons to fight for a chance of survival for their companions. It was a scene of endless tragedy. Everyone was fighting while bathed in blood. For the sake of their loved ones, for the sake of the continuation of their bloodline, for the sake of the survival of this world, they were willing to sacrifice themselves and give up their lives. All of this fell into Du Xiaofu's eyes, causing hot tears to gush out of his eyes. 9 great clans, listen to my orders! Du Xiaofu did not feel too sad. He stretched out his sleeve to wipe away the tears at the corners of his eyes. His figure stood tall in the sky, and his voice was loud and clear, spreading to every corner of the 3 continents and Kyushu domain, into the ears of every living being. His robes were pulled taut by the astral winds created by the collision of the sea of lightning and the red clouds, flapping loudly. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The purple-robed figure waved his hand, and the 9 divine lightning cauldrons rushed out and circled around him. They floated and rotated, releasing purple-gold lightning that carried a righteous and mighty aura. As soon as the 9 cauldrons appeared, an indescribable aura formed between them. It was as if they could suppress the heavens and the universe, and their might was immeasurable. The 9 cauldrons have gathered. Order the 9 families! Du Xiaofu spoke. His voice was like a bell that shook the entire world and resounded in every inch of space. The devil religion's great calamity has begun. Order the 9 families to appear and gather the power of the world to drive away the devil religion and kill the demon god. Those who dare to disobey will be killed without mercy. This vast voice shook every corner of the 3 continents and Kyushu domain. Every living being could hear it clearly. Those who dare to disobey will be killed without mercy. The lingering echoes lingered in the 9 heavens and 10 lands for a long time. Rock Emperor! It's the Rock Emperor! Human Emperor! The Human Emperor is back! The Rock Emperor is back! The devil religion won't dare to do anything. The moment Du Xiaofu's words left his mouth, the intense battle below seemed to stop for an instant. Countless living beings stopped their attacks and raised their heads to look at the purple-robed figure standing tall in the sky. The 9 cauldrons have gathered. Order the 9 families to drive away the devil religion and kill the demon god. The Rock Emperor is back. With the 9 cauldrons, he ordered the 9 families to join the battle. We have hope. With the Rock Emperor leading us to fight against the devil religion, if we don't fight with our lives now, when will we? Comrades, kill, kill! After a short moment of surprise, the living beings of the 3 continents and Kyushu domain became even more excited. The figure standing in the clouds above the 9 heavens had unknowingly become the backbone and pillar of all living beings in this domain. As long as he was here, everyone was full of confidence. Without much hesitation and excitement, all living beings raised their weapons and charged toward the devil religion again. This time, everyone's fighting spirit was even stronger, and they were not afraid of death. Du Xiaofu, it's Du Xiaofu. He didn't die in the demon god's hands. He's still alive. So what if he's alive? I can feel that the demon god has returned. That kid won't live for long. The devil religion's people were the same. They all looked at the figure in the sky in shock and could not help but panic for a moment. However, this panic soon subsided and was replaced by anticipation for the demon god's return. Have these people gone crazy when Du Xiaofu appeared? They're actually fighting with their lives on the line. Kikik, so what if they're fighting with their lives on the line? No one can stop the rise of the devil religion. The devil religion's people laughed coldly in the face of the tricontinent Kyushu's people's attacks. Demon weapons appeared in their hands, and they fought with the living beings again. 9 cauldrons gather and command the 9 families. 9 purple lightning cauldrons floated around Du Xiaofu's body, and terrifying purple lightning bolts struck, shattering the void. His gaze swept across all the battlefields, and then he looked away and shouted, "Where's the Nong family? The Nong family is here. Listen to the Rock Emperor's order, and slay the gods and demons." A loud voice reverberated through the sky and into Du Xiaofu's ears. Du Xiaofu opened his eyes to look towards the direction the voice came from, and he saw that the surging water of the 4,000 kilometers long river in Central Prefecture had been replaced by blood, and it had become a surging and roaring river of blood. On the river of blood, countless figures danced and collided with the people of the devil religion. Among them, led by Old Man Daipai, Jiang Yuechan, and Zhou Xiaoluo, there were Saint Martial Realm, Martial Domain Realm, Martial Venerable Realm, and Dominator Realm cultivators. Their bodies were soaked in blood, and their battle weapons glowed as they fought fiercely. Du Xiaofu looked away and shouted again. Where's the Confucian school? The Confucian school is here. We obey the Grand Shaman's order and slay the gods and demons. On the other side of the battlefield, the experts of the Confucian school heard Du Xiaofu's shout and responded in unison, their voices shaking the 9 heavens. At the same time, they were also fighting fiercely with the people of the devil religion. Meng Qianhe, Kong Sansi, and other people that Du Xiaofu was familiar with were among them. Where's the Taoist school? Du Xiaofu shouted again. The Taoist school is here. We pledge our lives to follow the Rock Emperor and slay the gods and demons. On another battlefield, Su Yangzi, Taoist Qingfeng, and the others of the Taoist school responded loudly as they launched terrifying attacks, and blood splashed everywhere. Where's the Maoist school? The Maoist school is here. We pledge our lives to follow the Rock Emperor and slay the gods and demons. Where's the Yinyang school? The Yinyang school is here. We pledge our lives to follow the Rock Emperor and slay the gods and demons. On the battlefield in the land of the 9 prefectures, shouts and replies resounded through the heavens and the earth, shaking all directions. Du Xiaofu glanced at each of the shouts and saw Hu Xuanhu and Mo Runan from the Mahe school, Qi Yeshi, Qi Yejuan, Qi Xingchen from the Yinyang school, and so on. In these 5 places, the masters of the agricultural school, the Confucian school, the Taoist school, the Mahe school, and the Yinyang school were fighting with their lives on the line. Du Xiaofu heaved a long sigh and frowned. Once again, he roared. Where is Buddhism? His voice reverberated through the world. What about Buddhism? After a while, he didn't hear any reply, and Du Xiaofu's frown deepened. However, right when he was about to repeat his question, a resonant Buddhist chant suddenly resounded from the west. Ahmed Ba. As the Buddhist chant resonated, endless light shone and illuminated the void. Monks dressed in kasayas stepped out and entered everyone's line of sight. Du Xiaofu looked around and saw the Buddhist sect's 9-fold spirit, Hongluan, the old monk that he had seen before, and a few other Saint Realm experts. Now that the 9 cauldrons are gathered, the Buddhist school will follow the orders of the Rock Emperor. Ahmed Ba. After the old monk chanted the Buddhist chant again, he didn't say anything else. Instead, he led many Buddhist masters to a battlefield and started a fight with the devil religion. Seeing this, Du Xiaofu nodded slightly. The Buddhist school had always been vague. They didn't have too much involvement with any forces and didn't participate in any disputes. Du Xiaofu had always been worried that they would ignore the teachings of the Master of the 3,000 Worlds and not listen to his orders. However, the Buddhist school's actions made him feel relieved. Chapter 2647. Du Xiaofu's frown eased a little as he watched the Buddhists rush into the battlefield. No matter what the Buddhist attitude was, as long as they obeyed the order, everything would be fine. Du Xiaofu slowly retracted his gaze from the group of monks. Once again, he shouted, Where is the school of vertical and horizontal? His loud voice reverberated in the air, lingering in the air for a long time without stopping. However, after a long while, other than the roars of countless creatures below, there was no response. Where is the school of vertical and horizontal? Du Xiaofu shouted again. His voice shook the 9 heavens, causing the sea of thunder and red clouds above his head to roll even more violently. This loud sound had already spread into the territory of the school of vertical and horizontal. Old ancestor, Du Xiaofu has already gathered the 9 purple thunder profound cauldrons and commanded the 9 families. What should we do now? In the main hall of the school of vertical and horizontal, an old man kept pacing back and forth. His anxious expression was overflowing with his words. Su Sanyan and the other experts were all gathered below. They lowered their heads and asked in fear, Is there still no response from the main clan of the upper realm? The old man's hurried figure suddenly stopped. His old face frowned as he asked the crowd below. Old ancestor, no! Su Sanyan said with a long face and cupped his hands towards the old man. Bastard! Smack! The old man picked up a porcelain cup on the table and smashed it on the ground, smashing it into pieces. Why? Why? Why is there no response from the main clan of the upper realm? After saying, "Why?" 3 times in a row, the old man hurriedly paced back and forth again. He looked distressed. If they agree, we can leave this realm at any time. We don't have to go through this flood anymore. The calamity of this realm has nothing to do with us, Su Sanyan said with a look of regret. Old ancestor, does the main clan of the upper realm not care about us anymore? Someone asked anxiously. His voice sounded like he was about to cry. What nonsense are you spouting? The eyes of the old man at the head of the hall narrowed as he immediately reprimanded. However, this reprimand was clearly lacking in confidence. Only 2 people of our clan who are at the sage accomplished realm or above can leave this place without any hindrance. But the others can only stay here. None of them can leave. Someone else spoke up, feeling incomparably anxious. I don't care about that anymore. Let's just let them go one by one. The old man let out a long sigh and exchanged glances with the other old man in the hall. Go! After the 2 exchanged a glance, they didn't hesitate any longer. The 2 figures rushed out of the hall and rushed towards the sky. They left in an extremely straightforward manner. Patriarch! When they saw this scene, the other members of the school of vertical and horizontal all screamed. At this point, how could they not understand that their 2 progenitors had made a prompt decision to abandon the disciples of the school of vertical and horizontal to leave this world in order to save their own lives? Patriarch doesn't care about us anymore. Many of them collapsed to the ground, their hearts filled with despair. Where is the school of vertical and horizontal? At this moment, Du Xiaofu's loud voice resounded between the heavens and the earth, and it entered the ears of every member of the school of vertical and horizontal. What should we do? Su Sanyan felt as if he had been struck by lightning, and he muttered to himself. When the heavens and the earth first appeared, they had already contacted the main clan in the upper world. With the help of the main clan, they wanted the entire school of vertical and horizontal to leave this world. In this way, the entire school of vertical and horizontal would no longer have to listen to the teachings left behind by the master of the 3,000 cosmos. However, after such a long time, they did not receive any response from the upper world. With their strength, it was impossible for them to leave this world. In the past, the heavens and the earth were suppressed, and people from the outside world could not enter. But now, no one cared about them. This made all of the members of the school of vertical and horizontal feel extremely sad and indignant. Divine Ancestor! What should we do now? Someone knelt beside Su Sanyan, hugged his thigh, and said in a trembling voice. A similar scene to the school of vertical and horizontal was happening in the other 2 clans. School of Famous Ancestor, Du Xiaofu has gathered the 9 cauldrons. He has already commanded the school of Farmer, school of Taoism, school of Confucianism, school of Moism, and school of Yin-Yang. Now, it's the school of vertical and horizontal's turn. Only the school of vertical and horizontals and legalisms are left. Should we go to war or? As the school of Famous's divine ancestor, Hui Wu had no idea at this time. Facing the ancestor of the clan, he could not hide his anxiety and asked for instructions. Is there any news from the main clan in the upper world of Famous? The ancestor of Famous asked. No news. We have already contacted the upper world, but the news we sent out was like a stone sinking into the sea. We did not receive any response at all. We don't know if something has happened, Hui Wu replied. There shouldn't be any changes in the upper world. I'm afraid they don't care about us anymore. The ancestor of Famous sighed, and he was incomparably sad. Why doesn't the main clan in the upper world care about us? Some of the powerhouses of Famous felt uneasy and puzzled at the same time. Just as the ancestor of Famous was about to say something, his mind suddenly moved, and the power of his primordial spirit detected some unusual movements. What are those 2 old fellows from the school of vertical and horizontal trying to do? In his perception, 2 vast auras were rushing out of the school of vertical and horizontal, flying towards the 9 heavens. Could it be? Soon, he understood the purpose of those two people, and could not help but be surprised. Ancestor, what happened? Hui Wu was puzzled when he saw the ancestor's expression. Nothing. The ancestor of Famous did not answer but said, Du Xiaofu has the 9 divine thunder cauldrons. I'm afraid our famous family can't avoid this battle. Gather everyone and prepare to listen to the order. I'll make a move first to take a look at the situation. With that, the ancestor of Famous family disappeared in front of Hui Wu. It was unbelievably fast, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Ancestor. Hui Wu was about to ask something, but a sentence was stuck in his throat. Legalism. Unlike the school of vertical and horizontal and the Famous family, legalism was currently in a fierce dispute. What's the point of arguing about this at a time like this? Facing the many legalism experts in the hall, a middle-aged man with disheveled hair and a dirty face spoke angrily. His sharp gaze swept across everyone with a strong questioning gaze. Sigh, in the past, it was our legalism that let down that child and his family of 4. Everything that happened today was caused by our coercion. An old woman next to him sighed. The wrinkles on her face piled up with a worried expression. It was Elder Ming. No matter what, does our legalism have to be manipulated by others like in the primordial era? A short legalism expert glared at the disheveled middle-aged man and the old woman, flicking his sleeves and saying, If the 9 cauldrons are not gathered, the 9 families will not appear. If the 9 cauldrons are gathered, the 9 families will be commanded. This is the instruction left behind by the Master of 3,000 Worlds, a contract made in the primordial era. We can't not abide by it. At the side, an expert spoke up, but it attracted the cold glare of the short expert. That's right. Moreover, we've contacted the main clan of the upper realm and wanted them to take away some of the young and weak disciples of legalism in this realm, but we didn't receive any response. Now, other than abiding by the primordial oath of alliance, we don't have any other choice. We can only raise our clans and fight. Elder Ming spoke with a long sigh. The main clan didn't respond, but it doesn't mean that we have to listen to Du Xiaofu's orders. The orders of the Master of 3,000 Worlds are only matters of the primordial era. You have to know that this is the great calamity of the devil religion. Once we participate in the war, can our legalism still be preserved? An old man beside the short middle-aged man said, If you want to fight, your Han family can fight. My Qin family will definitely not participate. The short middle-aged man snorted coldly. All right. We'll fight. No matter what, that kid is my nephew. I've already let him down in the past. At such a critical moment, if I don't do anything, I'm not worthy of being his second uncle, and I won't have the face to face my sister. The sloppy middle-aged man said with red eyes. He fiercely drank all the wine in the wine jar in his hand, and then smashed the empty wine jar on the ground. Those who are willing to fight, follow me. If you're afraid of death, then you can just stay here. I hope that after the great calamity, you can still keep your lives. After the middle-aged man finished speaking, he strode out of the hall. Behind him, a portion of the legalism disciples hesitated for a moment before following him. Sigh. We're not only paying off our debts, but also for the survival of our legalism. Elder Ming sighed and staggered out, quickly disappearing from everyone's sight. In the outside world, Du Xiaofu stood in the sky and frowned fiercely. After shouting twice, he actually didn't hear a response from the people of Zongheng. He couldn't help but feel a strong chill in his heart. Subsequently, under the cover of the energy of his origin spirit, he sensed the movement from the school of Zongheng. His gaze swept over, and he saw 2 figures directly tear through the sky and head straight for the sky. The strength of these 2 people was at the perfection stage of the Saint Realm. After they charged into the sky, their tyrannical strength erupted, and a long and narrow rift was torn open in space. Their figures didn't stop in the slightest and drilled into it. Du Xiaofu used the energy of his origin spirit to pry, and he found out the identity of these 2 people. They were the 2 experts from the school of Zongheng. In next to no time, not long after these 2 people appeared, another figure shot out from the distance and similarly charged into the sky. This figure charged out from where the school of Zonghan was. The ferocious red clouds and sea of lightning were directly torn apart by the hands of this expert, and an enormous spatial rift appeared, and a strange aura was transmitted in through the rift. This aura didn't belong to this world. Want to escape? Do you think you can escape? Seeing such a scene, Du Xiaofu frowned and waved his hand. Among the 9 purple lightning profound cauldrons around him, 3 of the divine lightning cauldrons whizzed out rapidly. Large amounts of purple gold lightning poured out, dragging a long tail of light as they directly went to the 2 spatial rifts. The great calamity is upon us, and countless people shed their blood to fight against the devil religion with their lives. Instead of fighting, you violated the primordial contract. Greedy for life and afraid of death, you intend to escape. Your crimes are punishable by death. Du Xiaofu gritted his teeth, and a strong murderous intent shot out from his eyes. The words that came out of his mouth almost popped out one word at a time. Suppress. Rumble. As his voice fell, the 3 divine lightning cauldrons moved through the sky at an incomparably fast speed. In the blink of an eye, they flashed into the 2 spatial rifts. Terrifying purple gold lightning surged out, roaring fiercely. As the lightning intertwined, pillars of lightning that were like heavenly pillars bombarded the heads of the 3 people. Ah! 3 blood-curdling screams sounded one after another. The 3 figures were directly struck out of the spatial rifts, and were crushed by the huge pillars of lightning. Pft, pft, pft. 3 muffled sounds reverberated. Under the bombardment of the purple lightning cauldrons, the 3 Sage Realm experts' bodies directly exploded. Even their primordial spirits did not have the chance to escape and were brazenly killed. It's the patriarchs of the school of vertical and horizontal, and the school of famed. They were directly killed by the Rock Emperor. The great calamity is upon us, and everyone is fighting a bloody battle. They actually still want to escape with their lives. They deserve to die. The Sage Realm patriarchs did not even care about their own clansmen, and only thought of escaping from this realm. The more afraid of death, the faster they die. The Rock Emperor killed them well. The disciples of the Confucian school of thought will not be so greedy and afraid of death. We will follow the Grand Witch and swear to kill the devil religion. Kill. Many experts from the Confucian school, Taoist school, Maha's school, school of agriculture, and school of yin-yang saw this scene, and some of them could not help but speak out. Everyone's eyes were filled with a strong sense of disdain. However, no one paid too much attention to this. They continued to be immersed in the battle against the devil religion. Du Xiaofu stood tall in the sky, his purple robe fluttering. After killing the 3 Sage Realm experts, the 3 purple lightning cauldrons whistled back once again. He did not hold back when he attacked. Those who could shake the resolve of living beings to face the calamity must not be allowed to exist. Du Xiaofu did not waste any time. He just continued to chant. For the 3rd time, his voice shook the sky. Where is the school of vertical and horizontal? The aura in his body had already begun to brew. He was silently counting the time in his heart. If the school of vertical and horizontal did not respond within 3 breaths, he did not mind temporarily ignoring the devil religion and personally erasing the school of vertical and horizontal from this realm. Du Xiaofu, the school of vertical and horizontal will fight. But this time, not long after Du Xiaofu's voice fell, a voice responded. Divine Ancestor, are we really going to fight? An expert from the school of vertical and horizontal unwillingly asked Su Sanyan. The Grand Ancestor did not care about us. He only cared about running for his life. However, he still died in the hands of Du Xiaofu. Su Sanyan clenched his fists. Then, he suddenly loosened them and said sadly, What else can we do? We can only fight. I hope that when the time comes, we can still survive. The scene of Du Xiaofu killing the 2 Grand Ancestors was not seen by most of the disciples in the school of vertical and horizontal. However, he clearly saw it with his own eyes. The Grand Ancestor who had abandoned all the disciples of the school of vertical and horizontal was killed in a single blow. He did not even have the slightest ability to resist. Under the bombardment of the purple lightning, his body and soul were destroyed. Su Sanyan could imagine that with Du Xiaofu's current strength and means, if the school of vertical and horizontal did not fight, the other party would definitely not be courteous. Let's go, disciples of the school of vertical and horizontal, fight with me. Su Sanyan did not hesitate too much. He could feel that in the distant void, the purple-robed youth's gaze was staring straight at him. It sent chills down his spine. If he did not act quickly, he did not know what that brat would do. Where is the school of vertical and horizontal? Looking at the actions of the school of vertical and horizontal, Du Xiaofu did not continue to pay attention to them. Instead, he continued to ask loudly, Our school of vertical and horizontal and horizontal and horizontal and horizontal will fight. Among the school of vertical and horizontal, Hui Wu spoke. Although his voice was not loud, he knew that Du Xiaofu would definitely be able to hear him. Grand Ancestor, our school of vertical and horizontal actually wanted to escape from this world and abandon us. After listening to Hui Wu's narration, the expressions of many experts from the school of vertical and horizontal were also dim. At this moment, they finally knew that the Grand Ancestor who had left in a hurry earlier wanted to break through the world's barrier and abandon all of their disciples. Knowing this situation, no one felt good in their hearts. Let's go! Hui Wu did not say much and led the experts of the school of vertical and horizontal. Legalism is the only thing left. After seeing the situation of the school of vertical and horizontal, Du Xiaofu muttered to himself. He had always had a grudge against legalism in his heart, and could not let it go. However, there were his second uncle and elder Ming in legalism. Du Xiaofu still had some respect for these two people in his heart. However, in the face of a great calamity, personal respect was not worth mentioning in the face of the survival of this world. If legalism did not come out to fight, he would definitely not be merciful. Where are the people of legalism? Du Xiaofu's loud shout resounded through the 9 heavens. I don't care if legalism comes or not, but we're coming. Just as Du Xiaofu finished speaking, a loud voice drifted through the sky. Du Xiaofu was surprised to discover that in the distance, a large group of figures had already soared into the sky and were fighting with the people of the devil religion. Among those people, there was his second uncle and elder Ming. Du Xiaofu could not help but let out a long sigh of relief. Such a scene was beyond his expectations. However, at the same time that Du Xiaofu's heart relaxed, his gaze also slowly deepened. In legalism, his second uncle, elder Ming, and many others had already appeared on the battlefield, but there were still many experts who did not make a move. Are you still thinking of continuing to hide at a time like this? Du Xiaofu whispered coldly. Standing high in the sky, his gaze shot towards legalism. His figure moved, and with a flash of light he disappeared from his original spot and appeared in the area where legalism was. If the rest of legalism want to die, I don't mind fulfilling your wishes. The purple-robed figure stood high in the sky and spoke coldly. His voice rang in the ears of everyone in legalism. Du Xiaofu, don't think that legalism will be afraid of you just because you have the 9 cauldrons. In legalism, the short old man stood on the ground. A terrifying array flashed with light, enveloping the entire legalism. Is that so? Du Xiaofu frowned. After a cold snort, he waved his sleeves, and the 9 divine lightning cauldrons roared and moved at the same time. Boom, 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 boom. Under Du Xiaofu's control, large amounts of lightning poured out from the 9 divine lightning cauldrons. Numerous thick bolts of lightning descended from the 9 heavens, and they were like numerous rivers of stars that were pouring down. The powerful fluctuations of energy caused space to explode apart inch by inch. Since the 9 cauldrons have appeared, they command the 9 families. How can your school of legalism act independently and ignore the ancient contract? Du Xiaofu said coldly and attacked without hesitation. Since these legalism people were not willing to participate in the battle, then let them all die. Disciples of legalism, listen to my order. Use all your strength to protect the array. Now that everyone in the outside world is busy dealing with the devil religion, I don't believe that Du Xiaofu alone can easily break our legalism's heavenly law astral wheel array. The short expert gave the order and spoke to the many experts left behind by legalism. While speaking, he was actually a little nervous. He did not know Du Xiaofu's specific cultivation. He only heard that Du Xiaofu had reached the half-step heavenly saint realm in the demon realm when the demon god was on the move a few years ago. The legalism's heavenly law astral wheel array was said to be able to withstand the joint attack of a perfected 100-sage realm expert. It was also because of this that he had the confidence to challenge Du Xiaofu. You can defy heaven's evil, but you can't survive the evil you bring upon yourself. Since you don't want to die in the battle with the devil religion, then let me end your lives in advance. These words came out of Du Xiaofu's mouth with an indescribable coldness. As he spoke, he also moved. His arm waved in front of him, and the 9 purple thunder profound cauldrons kept spinning around his body, forming a circle. Terrifying purple gold lightning poured out, dragging long ribbons as it danced high in the sky. It was incomparably magnificent. However, in this magnificence, there was an extremely vast and terrifying energy. Purple thunder profound cauldron, go! Du Xiaofu shouted and waved his arm. A divine thunder cauldron whistled and rushed out, crashing into the array's light shield below. Boom! A violent collision occurred in an instant, and a terrifying explosion shook the heavens and the earth, causing mountains to collapse and tsunamis to occur. The array was immediately shaken by the explosion. Kill! Du Xiaofu continued to wave his hand, and the second divine thunder cauldron moved again, followed by the third, fourth, and fifth. The remaining 8 purple thunder profound cauldrons circled around each other in the void, then connected into a straight line and descended from the sky. The tyrannical thunder roared, and a fierce power filled the air. Boom! Almost immediately after the first divine thunder cauldron fell, the second divine thunder cauldron followed closely behind and suddenly bombarded the legalism's heavenly law wheel array. A terrifying explosion sounded, and cracks appeared on the array that was blooming with light. The cracks climbed on the light shield and quickly spread. Boom! 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 The third, fourth, fifth, sixth, every divine thunder cauldron carried an unparalleled power that could destroy everything, and brazenly crashed into the array. With each powerful impact, the array continued to crack, and the light dimmed again and again. When the 8th divine thunder cauldron crashed down, the heavenly law wheel array that they relied on to resist directly exploded under the shocked gazes of all the legalism members. It shattered and disappeared without a trace. It's broken! The array is broken! Our legalism's strongest heavenly law wheel array was actually broken just like that. Run! This Du Xiaofu is too terrifying. Run! The array is broken, and the Demon King won't let us go. The school of legalism immediately fell into chaos. One expert after another rushed into the sky, flying in all directions in an attempt to escape. Surrender, we surrender, Rock Emperor, please spare us, let us live. Rock Emperor, we surrender, we are willing to fight and fight against the devil religion. There were also many people who directly knelt on the ground, kowtowing, and loudly begging for mercy. Du Xiaofu, we were wrong. Legalism will immediately go to war, and we will absolutely obey your orders, and we won't dare to be disloyal. The short expert finally knew how to panic, and he stood on the ground with his legs trembling as he kept retreating. He never expected that Du Xiaofu's strength had reached such a terrifying level. Before the battle, it was said that his cultivation had only broken through to half-step heavenly saint in the demon realm. When did he reach such a terrifying level? Under the fierce bombardment of the 9 divine thunder cauldrons, even legalism's strongest mountain protection array could not resist. Go to war? Don't you think it's too late to say this now? Du Xiaofu coldly snorted. Since he had already come to this point, it was definitely not his style to show mercy. Kill! A cold shout suddenly erupted from his throat, and with a light wave of his hand, the 9th divine thunder cauldron moved fiercely, directly aiming at legalism's location, and fiercely bombarded it. Boom! A huge explosion sounded, and the force surged. Rocks flew into the air, and boundless purple-gold lightning flashed. Many figures who had jumped into the sky suddenly exploded into clouds of blood mist, and not even a trace of them was left. The entire legalism was directly razed to the ground by this attack, and was erased from this world without a trace. The area became flat, and there were only rubble and purple-gold lightning snakes all over the ground. That short powerhouse also couldn't escape the calamity, and turned into flying ash. Humph! Du Xiaofu coldly snorted, and the 9 divine thunder cauldrons returned, continuing to hover around him. The school of famers and the school of vertical and horizontal had already admitted defeat and went to war. These people of legalism, when his second uncle, Elder Ming, and many other experts were also going to war, were still thinking of stubbornly resisting and ignoring the ancient oath. Du Xiaofu did not feel that the death of these people was a pity at all. Now that the 9 great families were already fighting, the mission of gathering the 9 cauldrons could be considered completed. For the people of the school of famers and the school of vertical and horizontal, whether they were intimidated by the death of their ancestors or forced to obey his orders due to his prestige, Du Xiaofu did not care, as long as they were willing to fight. Perhaps many of those people had their own ulterior motives, and were thinking of doing work without putting in effort, but Du Xiaofu did not care about this. Once they entered the battlefield and fought with the devil religion, everything would be out of their control. If they did not fight with all their strength, the only result would be to die under the blade of the devil religion. In the great calamity, the more afraid of death, the faster they would die. These people of legalism who were killed were the best example. Chapter 2648. Legalism is finished. The Rock Emperor is too powerful, he wiped out legalism completely. Serves him right. Those who are afraid of death deserve to die. Rock Emperor, well done! With the 9 cauldrons in hand, Du Xiaofu killed the people from the school of legalism who refused to fight. The great disturbance caused many of the experts on the battlefield nearby to become astounded. At the same time, everyone felt that their anger had been vented, and they all cheered. No one sympathized with those who were afraid of fighting when they were killed. Some of the legalism people who had already stepped into the battlefield sighed and lamented. Sigh. The foundation of legalism in this realm is finished. The upper realm's main race doesn't care about us, and we can't unite as one. This outcome is already predestined. Everyone has their own choices, different choices lead to different outcomes. But the same thing is that everyone has to pay the price for their actions. What's the point of saying so much? Since we've chosen to fight against the devil religion, let's kill them all. Even if we die in the end, we'll die in vain. Kill. Many of the legalism powerhouses who entered the battlefield spoke, but they did not lament too much. They all used their own methods to fight against the devil religion. In the sky, Du Xiaofu kept the 9 cauldrons. He did not feel anything strange after killing so many legalism people. When he met the Lord of the 3,000 upper worlds in the heavenly demonic battlefield, he had said that even if he had the 9 cauldrons, the 9 schools might not be willing to listen to his orders. All of this was built on the foundation of strength. If it were not for his strength, the 9 schools would not have listened to the Lord of the 3,000 upper worlds and suppressed the Nephilim Emperor and Demon God in the heavenly demonic battlefield for so long. If his strength had not reached the heavenly sage realm, and the legalism, school of famers, and school of vertical and horizontal people all refused to fight, he would not have been able to do anything to them. It's time to go. Du Xiaofu changed his mind and planned to leave this place. In another place, little Xingxing, Fui Bai, drunkard dad, Du Xiaoyao, and Du Xiaolin were still fighting against the 8 demon emperors of the devil religion. Among them, a total of 14 half-step heavenly sages were fighting against the 6th demon emperor and 8th demon emperor of the heavenly sage realm. If he had not gone to help them earlier, those people would have been in a very tough situation. Even though the 2 demon emperors, it was not that, it was. Once the two Heavenly Saint Stage Heavenly Demon Emperors were unable to defeat the Heavenly Saint Stage Heavenly Demon Emperors, they would choose to leave the battlefield and charge into the battlefield of countless living beings. It would be a huge disaster. With that thought in mind, his body also moved. His entire body erupted with a dazzling purple-gold light as he activated the first style of Fuyao and left this place, disappearing without a trace. The next moment, when he broke through the air, the figures of second brother Du Yulong, Du Xiaoyao, drunkard dad, and the 8 demon emperors came into his sight. He. A bunch of ants, how dare you be fierce in front of me? You've overestimated yourselves! The 8 demon emperors' heavenly sage realm's strength burst forth fiercely. His terrifying attacks caused the void to tremble and the earth to tremble. Jinqing Chun, Yi Piaoling, and the other half-step heavenly sage realm experts were forced to retreat under the 8 demon emperors' ferocious aura. They could only protect themselves and could not resist at all. Puny ant, prepare to die! The 6th demon emperor roared loudly. The demonic chi around him danced wildly and condensed into a blood-red saber. He held it in his hand and slashed it down at Du Xiaojing. The terrifying energy vibrated and slashed Du Xiaojing's petite body, forcing her to retreat. Kill! Du Tingshuan's long spear shook. Unparalleled lightning rushed out and turned into a thick thunder dragon, roaring crazily. So what if you're the demon emperor? Take my palm first! Du Xiaoyao's redbone horse monkey body was entrenched in the void. Her huge palms slapped across the sky, suppressing the heavens and earth. However, the 8 demon emperors' arms swung, and Du Xiaoyao's body was sent flying. A mouthful of golden blood spurted out from his mouth and pierced through the void. His huge body rolled for thousands of miles in the void. Then, he got up again and charged toward the 8 demon emperor. Kill! Du Xiaofu didn't delay at all when he arrived. He immediately rushed into the battle circle as soon as he saw what was happening. Emptiness of heaven and earth! He held the purple-gold heavenly tower in his hand. A sword ray that could pierce through the heavens and earth slashed down vertically, violently tearing the void apart. A terrifying crack appeared, as if it was the abyss of the netherworld. The sword ray was vast, and endless rays of light shot out. It supported the heavens and the earth, and a terrifying energy fluctuation swept through the 9 heavens and 10 lands. At this moment, everyone present only felt that the scene before their eyes had turned dark. It was as if this sword ray was the only thing left in the world. It made them tremble for no reason. Seeing such a sword ray slashing toward his head, the 8 demon emperor could not help but feel a strong sense of fear in his heart. Humph! As he snorted coldly, his hands moved as well. 2 balls of demonic chi rapidly gathered in his palms and soared into the sky like waves. Then, with a flip of his wrist, the demonic chi fell from the void and rapidly transformed. In the blink of an eye, it condensed into a tall and sturdy demonic figure. It was even more frightening than the sword ray that Du Xiaofu had shot out. It carried a ferocious and unparalleled aura. Open for me! The demonic figure let out a loud roar. It raised its arms to the sky and did not dodge. Instead, it directly rushed toward the terrifying sword ray and grabbed it in its hands. Dong dong! A dull sound reverberated, and the void shook violently. Under everyone's horrified gazes, Du Xiaofu's sword ray was blocked by the tall and sturdy demonic figure. Then, the demonic figure slowly lifted it up. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Heaven and earth trembled violently. The vast sword ray was crushed, but under the support of the demonic figure, it could not advance any further. The energy between the two of them kept shattering, and pieces of broken fragments fell high into the sky. For a moment, there was a stalemate, and it seemed that neither of them could do anything to the other. Kill! Du Xiaofu suddenly yelled and retracted his arm. Then, his figure flashed and directly gave up on the sword light. His figure disappeared from the spot. Fu Yao moved again. Taking advantage of the 8 demon emperors' unpreparedness, he directly appeared in front of him. Then, with the purple-gold heavenly fault in his hand, he suddenly attacked again. Tyrannical way of the sword! Du Xiaofu let out a long roar. The sword ray slashed down and landed heavily on the 8 Demon Emperor's chest. Bam! Caught off guard, the 8 Demon Emperor was instantly sent flying, and his body was blasted away. As he was sent flying, a dull groan came from his throat. Blood rushed up to his throat, and his face turned a little gray in an instant. Kill! Du Xiaofu did not delay at all. He activated the law of space and chased after the 8 Demon Emperor again, arriving in front of him in an instant. With a wave of his hand, a large amount of purple-gold flowing light rushed out from his body and suppressed the 8 Demon Emperor. The 9 divine thunder cauldrons whistled through the air, carrying a vast and heavy aura. Endless thunder and lightning poured out in all directions. He knew that his unexpected attack just now might be able to shake the 8 Demon Emperor, who was at the Heavenly Saint stage, a little, but it would definitely not be able to inflict too much damage on him. It was too difficult to kill him. Du Xiaofu, you can't kill me! Faced with the power of the 9 divine thunder cauldrons, the 8 Demon Emperor's eyes could not help but show a hint of seriousness. He did not have enough time to react. Vigorous demon chi surged out from his body and enveloped him, forming the most secure defense. In the primordial era, he had already seen the divine power of the 9 divine thunder cauldrons. The only difference was that the person holding the cauldrons at that time was the Lord of the 3,000 sectors. However, it was undeniable that the power of the 9 divine thunder cauldrons in Du Xiaofu's hands was extremely terrifying. After they came out of the unsuppressed space, the invisible laws of this world pressed down on everyone once again. Therefore, even if the difference in cultivation between them was not too big, if they allowed the other party to attack them freely, it would still be an absolute threat. Suppress! Du Xiaofu shouted sternly. The 9 divine thunder cauldrons exuded a whooshing sound. Like 9 majestic mountains, they brazenly covered the 8 Demon Emperor's head. However, when the 9 divine thunder cauldrons descended from the sky and were about to hit the 9 Demon Emperor's body, a huge black palm suddenly appeared in the void in front of the 9 Demon Emperor and blocked the path of the 9 cauldrons. Bang, bang, bang! When the 9 divine thunder cauldrons collided with the huge palm, it was as if they had collided with a sturdy wall. After each of them let out a deafening sound, they were all sent flying backward. However, the huge black palm did not even tremble. It was as majestic as a mountain. Demon God! Du Xiaofu stretched out his hand and beckoned, and the 9 cauldrons flew back to his side. He fixed his gaze on the huge palm in front of the 9 Demon Emperor, and then looked at the owner of the huge palm. It was a majestic figure. His head was the blue sky, and his feet were the thick earth. He was like a giant of heaven and earth, standing between heaven and earth. A terrifying demonic aura spread out from his body, and the surrounding void was distorted by that terrifying aura. Cruel and bloody scenes appeared around him, as if everything in this world was being played out. In those scenes, there were ferocious beasts slaughtering, mountains of corpses shaking, rivers of blood flowing, living creatures screaming, ghosts crying, and vengeful spirits wailing. The heavens wept blood, the land was filled with wails, and the people were plunged into misery and suffering. This was not the first time that Du Xiaofu had seen such a figure. In this world, other than the demon god, who else could have such a terrifying power? You have completed the mission that Lu Xiaoyu left behind. It's time for you to die. Just as Du Xiaofu was feeling nervous, a loud sound suddenly came from the void. The sound waves were like rolling waves, crashing into the wilderness. Just hearing this sound alone was enough to make one's scalp tingle. It was as if one was facing a ferocious and terrifying lord. Chapter 2649. After blocking Du Xiaofu's 9 divine lightning cauldrons, the giant palm appeared in front of everyone's eyes. The demonic god's burly body moved. Although it looked extremely slow, it was actually extremely fast. Every step the giant foot took caused the heavens to tremble and the earth to shake. The entire world trembled violently, and the void cracked soundlessly. As the demonic god continued to move, a vast and boundless demonic aura surged and swept through the entire world like a raging storm. In the 9 heavens, the red clouds that occupied half of the sky surged. The blood-red radiance became even brighter, and a ferocious aura surged. Boundless and strange energy rippled out from the red clouds, connecting with the demonic god's body and entering his body. As countless living beings fought below, Du Xiaofu could clearly feel that the demonic god's aura became even more profound and vast, becoming more and more powerful. A heaven-devouring and earth-shattering aura erupted from his body. Wrapped in a ferocious killing intent, he charged directly at Du Xiaofu. In just a short moment, he had already arrived in front of everyone. Is he here to kill me? Du Xiaofu's heart trembled. Looking at the demonic god's indomitable body, he couldn't help but feel an immense pressure. That unparalleled aura carried an undisguised killing intent, causing his body to tense up involuntarily. It was obvious that the demonic god's current target was none other than him. At that moment, Du Xiaofu could feel that the demonic god's strength had reached an extremely terrifying level. Compared to when the two of them fought in the foggy space, he was much, much stronger. The Great War has begun. My devil religion is destined to rise. Everyone will die, and you will be the first person I want to kill after I recover. The demonic god spoke, and his loud voice shook the 9 heavens. The red clouds and sea of lightning in the sky trembled. Demonic god, come and fight! Du Xiaofu's robes fluttered as he shouted loudly, and his voice shook the sky. Rumble! Thunder roared and golden light soared into the sky. A majestic aura surged out from Du Xiaofu's body and sword. In an instant, it reached an incomparably terrifying level. When his shout fell, every corner of this world could hear it clearly. Du Xiaofu held the purple-gold heavenly fault in his hand and pointed it at the Fiend Celestial's towering body without fear. The great calamity had long been unavoidable. This day was destined to come, and the battle with the Fiend Celestial was also expected. Even though his current cultivation was not enough to be mentioned in the same breath as the demon god, Du Xiaofu did not retreat. Instead, he pointed his sword at the demon god and took the initiative to declare war. Possessing the thunder martial vein and being chosen by Lu Xiaoyu, I have to say that you, Du Xiaofu, are indeed extraordinary. In just a few decades he has grown to such a level. He is qualified to be my devil religion's greatest enemy. It's a pity that your current strength is still too weak. If it was before I recovered, I wouldn't have dared to underestimate you. But now, in my eyes, you are no different from an ant. I can destroy you with a flip of my hand. The demon god's head was connected to the boundless red clouds in the sky. His eyes, which were like black suns, turned and looked at the purple-robed young man standing high in the sky. His light but deep and mighty voice reverberated between heaven and earth. Is that so? I've already said that your devil religion kills mercilessly and kills billions of living beings. Since I, Du Xiaofu, am standing at the top of this world, I have to do something for the common people of this world. With my Tao body, I will punish your merciless actions. Even if I am only a Bayan, not to mention a big tree like you, even if it is the sky, I can still shake it. Du Xiaofu's voice shook the sky. Endless purple-gold thunderbolts roared out from his body. Behind him, in the sea of thunder that occupied half of the sky, large amounts of lightning poured down and connected with his aura. Thunderbolts roared and roared, like heavenly rivers hanging down. The momentum was extremely deceptive. Your ability is not great, but your tone is not small. The demon god snorted and did not continue Du Xiaofu's words. Instead, he said, because of the primordial heavenly Tao, I have been suppressed for so many years. In the end, this world will not be able to escape my control. Soon, it will become a demon domain. The reason why your Du family ancestor engraved the thunder martial vein into the Du family descendant's body seemed to be out of selfishness, for his own descendant. In fact, he left a way out for this world. He hoped that his descendants would be able to use the thunder martial vein to fuse with the 36 spiritual thunders that he had transformed into and form the complete law of thunder and lightning. Then, they would be able to reach his level and fight against me. He had long calculated that he would not be able to completely suppress me. There would be a day when he would break the seal. However, no matter how good he was at scheming, how could he have calculated that the current descendant of the Dew family only had 8 spiritual thunders in his body? You dare to challenge me with this kind of strength? If your ancestors knew about this, I wonder if they would be disappointed. A dignified demon god actually has so much nonsense to say. Du Xiaofu raised the broadsword in his hand and suddenly sneered. He was still in a fighting posture. He had long known about the primordial heavenly Tao. It could be said that everything that happened today had already been planted in the primordial heavenly Tao. The Du family ancestor had suppressed the demon god, causing him to be obliterated by the invisible laws of the world. All of this had long been destined. Today's battle was unavoidable. Du Xiaofu had never planned to escape. Perhaps he had the ability to escape this world and preserve his life. However, if that was the case, the countless family and friends behind him, as well as the citizens of the desolate country, would not be able to avoid the fate of being slaughtered by the devil religion. Regardless of whether he was a match for the demon god, he had to fight. You actually dare to provoke me. It seems like you are really not afraid of death. Since you want to die so much, how can I not fulfill your wish? As the demon god spoke, his arms slowly waved in the void. An unparalleled force was vast and mighty, and a terrifying aura swept out. The extremely thick arms stretched out in the air like a majestic heavenly pillar inserted into the sea, stirring up wantonly. The entire space began to boil with his movements. Nearby, more than 10 half-step heavenly saints, such as Du Tingxian, Du Xiaoyao, Yi Piaoling, Jialo Jueyu, and others, were directly sent flying as if they were in a violent storm. The Great Demon Emperor, Second Demon Emperor, East Deity, West Demon, Little Xingxing, and the rest of the 10 heavenly saints could not help but retreat. They did not dare to stop in such a boundless storm. That terrifying aura carried a ferocious power that could destroy everything. It attacked everyone's body, causing many heavenly saints to feel their chi and blood tremble. Their bodies were bursting, as if they were about to be torn apart. You're tuning into the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.